Welcome to the Main Character Podcast. I am your host, Brandon Hamblin, main character of my own story. But this podcast isn't about me. It's about you, and all of you. Every person that has ever lived on this planet, all 8 billion people here now, all that came before us, and all that will come hereafter are the main characters in their own story. My aim is to interview people that embody living in their energy and discovering from their perspective what their perception of reality is like. Buckle up. You're about to experience the world through another main character's eyes. Finally getting at the tail end of this stupid thing. Between whatever I caught from the kids, becoming bronchitis, turning to pneumonia. Now it's just all the intercostal muscles are super sore.
Yeah.
I've got just a little bit that I need to still cough up, but like they reinforce each other. So the coughing makes the intercostals hurt. The intercostals hurting make me not want to cough. And it's just this vicious, like, just need to finish up. I'm 85%. I'm so much better than I was.
Did you get a 6-pack of Habs from all that coughing?
Yes.
See, like there's a benefit.
I guess. Well, and I went from 186 down to 168.
Dang.
Yeah, I lost a lot of weight. I mean, it's a way to get into your bikini body, so I don't mind. I'm going to look good.
Illness is hypermetabolic.
It is. And on top of it, especially the first week, I was like fasting.
Yeah.
I'm going to have my body start kicking this thing's butt. And I didn't have an appetite anyways. But yeah, that'll get you there. So Heather, let's see here. We can go so many different directions. From who you are today to maybe we start at the beginning. I always like the beginning.
We can start at the beginning.
Start at the beginning.
I like my beginning.
Okay, let's do that.
People tell me it's not normal.
That's perfect. So where were you born? What was family life like? All that fun. Tell me about the early years of Heather.
I was actually born in Plainview, New York.
Okay. Where's Plain?
It's on Long Island.
It's on Long Island.
Kind of in the middle of Long Island.
Okay, cool.
And my whole family is back there. They're all dead now, basically.
Jeez.
But my mom and her brothers worked in Manhattan in the World Trade Center.
No way.
Mm-hmm. And we'll come back to this later, but the original story. So I'm a twin.
Oh, cool.
Twin brother. And the original story was that my mom met my father. He was the chef at the restaurant they worked at, I don't know, on the 28th floor or something. And we were conceived in the back of the restaurant, and we were Twin Tower A's and B.
That's so funny.
What do you call it? Our baby shower was actually held at the restaurant.
Oh my gosh. What a weird tie-in.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I take it that was before, well, I mean, clearly it's before 9/11. But were they still working there at the time as a quick, like, rabbit hole?
No. So my Nana died when I was like 3.5.
Okay.
And then shortly thereafter, my mom moved out chasing said father across the country. Heard he had moved to San Francisco to become a chef.
Yeah.
Well, he was a chef to become like a world-renowned chef.
Yeah.
And so she packed us up with her boyfriend at the time, Clifford, and moved us across the country. Now, back up, my aunt is her half-sister.
Okay.
And so my Nana cheated on my grandfather with Grandpa Frank, who's Costa Rican.
Okay.
Very dark black man.
Yes.
Grandpa Frank was married to Grandma Irma at the time, never divorced her, but stayed in Manhattan for a while with Nana.
Yeah.
Nana died. Frank went back to Grandma Irma. We moved back out to California to Richmond to Grandpa Frank and Grandma Irma's house.
Cool.
So we are two little white kids in a very, very black neighborhood.
Yeah. That had to be different.
I didn't know any better.
That's a good point.
I was 5 at the time.
Yeah.
And it was normal.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was, I would say, much more rules than probably my mom's house.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and they're both Costa Rican, so very different black, right?
Oh,
so,
yep.
And lived with Aunt Giselle and all these people. It was a very blended household.
Yeah.
And then we bounced around. So my mom left Clifford, the boyfriend, and we bounced around to basically every city in the Bay Area between age 5 and 11. We settled in Napa.
Okay. Well, and so quick question there. I take it Clifford didn't know that your mom was moving you guys across the country to chase.
He came with us.
Right. Yeah.
But he did not know to chase a boyfriend dream. My father, we'll get back to that later.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, but every relationship my mom was in was very abusive. So Clifford was very physically abusive. And I don't remember this part, but apparently she had, been beat a lot and at some point was at court and the judge mandated him back on a bus to New York.
Get out. All right.
Yeah. And next time, if she does actually kill you, it's justified. So I don't know exactly what happened, but it was knock down, drag out. And I know Grandpa Frank had guns because my twin brother found it under the bed one day and came down the stairs carrying it.
No.
Grandpa Frank was like, nope, put that back.
Yeah. And I'm making sure these are unloaded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then we settled in Napa. My mom was a bartender and that's what she did in Manhattan.
Okay.
And that's what she did all through me growing up. And I remember the two jobs I remember she had was one at Charlie's in San Francisco, which was a top-notch restaurant, and commuting back and forth in that. And then in Pacifica, she worked at this dive bar on the pier.
Okay.
The pier washed out in the 80-something flood.
Oh.
We lived there.
Oh, scary.
At that time. And somewhere in there at a bar, she met my soon-to-be stepfather, Wally.
Okay.
Who also was very abusive. And I mean, they met in a bar.
Well, right. But that always kind of fascinates me, that pattern of people that end up in abusive relationships and they get out of one, but then they just attract another one.
Mm-hmm.
It fascinates me.
Mm-hmm.
Because and what's funny is it's almost easy for them to see the pattern in other people, but then they can't get out of it in their own.
Yeah. Yeah, she still lives there.
Oh.
And she's a psych nurse. And I'm I really am struggling to understand why you're not objective in your own life, but you can psychoanalyze everybody else.
Isn't that wild? They're the proof positive of what I just said. That is wild.
And I don't live in that world because I'm always diving down into my own holes as to why I have behaviors or thought processes.
Right.
Right. And trying to be as objective as you can of yourself, which is not very, but
no, it's hard to see the forest for the trees when you are the tree.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm always dumbfounded.
Yeah.
And it's astonishing. I feel like somebody should psychoanalyze those people and figure out why that is.
Yeah.
They probably have, but...
Do you have a thought? Do you have an answer? Do you have a...
I think for some people it's pure ignorance. And I think for a lot of people that go into psychiatry of any sort, whether you're a nurse or a counselor or a therapist or a psychiatrist, a lot of those people have demons they're wrestling with and attempt to fix them through other people.
Oh, that's well said. Yeah, that's really well said.
As opposed to taking their own life into practice and fixing that.
Well, and the thing that I always think of too is we stick to the thing that we're familiar with, right? If you don't know another way, how do you even start down that path? How it's scary.
Well, it's scary. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of self-reflection, and you have to come forth with a lot of demons that a lot of people aren't ready to face.
Yeah. Dark night of the soul isn't always the funnest experience. Interesting. Okay. All right. Sorry. Didn't mean to rabbit hole on the story already.
I think she met Wally in Palo Alto.
Okay.
And then we landed in Pacifica. Maybe she met him in Pacifica. I don't know. Pacifica, I think, was my favorite town. That's where I met my friend Desiree, who was just, I remember her and her family. Now, my mom did a lot of drugs and a lot of drinking, right?
Well, I mean, bar scene, what are you going to do?
And Desiree's parents did as well. And I didn't know then what I know now, but now I'm like, oh, that was cocaine on the table. Right?
That's a line of some really weird looking white powder.
Yeah. And Desiree was just like a normal kid in the neighborhood, and like we rode our big wheels together.
I love a good big wheel.
And Desiree's grandmother lived in Napa, and I think that was the tie and what eventually led Wally and everybody there.
Okay.
Larry, her stepfather, and Wally, my stepfather, were very good friends.
Oh.
And so we would go to Desiree's house and or grandma's house in Napa and ride horses.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's fun.
That was really fun.
Yeah.
Right.
So you got horses and big wheels.
Yeah.
That's all you need as a kid.
And it's this really, really beautiful part of Napa back in Wild Horse Valley Ranch Road, which is just probably elite homes now.
Yeah.
And this was just, this was the 80s.
Right. So it was what, farmland?
Farmland.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really fun. And then I think we moved to Pinole, lived in some apartments there. The fun moments of my childhood were, and I feel bad for kids nowadays because they're never going to experience these things. We had an apartment pool.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there was any adults down there supervising us.
Yeah, you guys would just go down and
taught ourselves how to swim, right? Nobody drowned. Nobody
Yeah,
died,
yeah.
surprisingly. A huge hill that came down to the apartments, riding banana boards without helmets or knee pads or anything at full speed, right? I remember, now at this time I had a little brother who was about 8 months old when we were in Pinole. And my twin was like swinging with him on the swings with him on the shoulder, and we're like 8.
Yeah.
And then there goes the baby right on top of his head.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't think it did any permanent damage. He's a really sweet kid now. He's not a kid anymore, but yeah. Fun memories. Freddy Krueger. We were introduced to Freddy Krueger in Pinole and Nightmare on Elm Street. And we had fun games around the apartments with that.
Oh,
we were not allowed to watch that, but we certainly did without our parents' permission.
Of course.
Yeah. Atari.
Oh, yeah.
Neighbors had Atari. It was fantastic. It's where I got my Nintendo.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that sounds like the perfect childhood. And we were talking before I started hitting record about Tristan, about your son, and challenge, right?
Yep.
And it kind of goes back to that for me of, okay, so like we helicopter parent now, and we've got all the safety things in place. And my oldest was riding his bike. His wheel came off and caught the pavement with his face. And he didn't have a helmet. And of course, when we took him to the emergency room, he got lambasted multiple times. You need to wear a helmet, need to wear a helmet. And like, yeah, I'd much rather they wear a helmet than not. But there is something to the free range childrening that like they figure it out.
It's okay to get hurt.
It's okay to get hurt.
Like you don't want to get hit by a car without a helmet. But if you hit your head on the pavement, I fell off a fence when I was 5 years old. Our apartments were separated by an 8-foot wood fence.
Yeah.
I was told not to climb over it.
And so what do you do?
The neighborhood, walk around the block. What do? I climb over it.
Of course.
One too many times. Head first onto the concrete on the other side. Right?
Yep.
And at that time, my mom was like, okay, just lay down and take a nap. Not what you do with a concussion.
No.
Right? But
yeah.
Oh,
gosh.
Right? But I'm alive.
But you're alive and everything's good.
Everything's good. Maybe a slight brain damage.
And how many times do you make that mistake?
Right.
Like
over and over when you're younger.
Yeah.
But
you also probably adapted too of like, okay, so maybe I shouldn't climb the fence this way.
Right.
Or maybe I should go around. Right. I didn't like cat falling on my head.
Right.
Yeah. But like I loved riding my bike as a kid, but I also actually really liked crashing my bike as a kid, which maybe there is brain damage on this side too. But it was, oh yeah, I've got a cool scab on my knee, or my elbows are all busted up. Or
oh yeah, your scabs. I still have the scar. It's still it's slightly faded now, but like there's a scar from that banana board crash.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And I'm like, I was 7 years old riding a banana board down a really steep hill super fast.
I love that.
Scar
stories.
That's
that's as you're counting your war wounds, right? It takes you right back to those moments.
Yep.
It's kind of a blessing in a weird way.
I still have a gray spot. Oh, it's probably still stuck in there. Who knows? A rock from roller skating and sliding on the ground with your hand.
There it is. That's so good. So in a lot of ways, it sounds like you had an enchanted childhood, but also instability with where we're going to live, what's going on with mom.
So much instability.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a lot of memories I don't remember. I see pictures of them of us walking the beach very often, crab and that, but we lived at the beach. Pacifica's on the beach.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And if you're not familiar, it's a dinky little town that goes into a canyon. It's like 6 blocks long.
Oh, cool.
And that's it. Right?
Yeah, I was going to ask. I've never been to Pacifica
now, but I don't think so because there's just not room to
grow. Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. And cool. Fast forward, my friend Desiree actually still lives now as an adult, lives in a house in Pacifica.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a small world.
Do you get to go back and visit?
I have not. I do not go back to California.
Well, understandably.
Yeah. So being from New York and raised by a mom that is from Manhattan, there are certain personality characteristics that just get passed on and are probably ingrained when you're very little.
Yes.
Right?
For sure. Like what?
Very forward.
Okay, yeah.
Very nonchalant about a lot of things. The F word was just every other word in my house growing up.
Yeah.
It's a normal word.
And it can be used in so many different ways.
It's so descriptive of so many things.
Yes.
So I never really fit into California.
Yeah, you've got I spent some time in New Jersey and I just remember like, oh, I feel like I'm in a different country.
Yeah.
Because everybody's I don't know if aggressive is the right word, but just blunt.
Yes.
There's just a straightforwardness and if you don't like it, you can go kick rocks sort of attitude.
Yep.
Where California is the classic kick back, bleach blonde hair, kind of.
Or they're just not nice. Right?
Yeah.
They're just, it's a different type of, like, they're being rude with their forwardness.
Right.
Whereas on the East Coast, it's just like, that's just matter of fact. I'm just not beating around the bush.
Right.
I'm not being rude. I'm just telling you.
I'm telling you how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That's a good point.
So I spent, I actually moved out of the state when I was 16.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Had you just had enough? Was it?
Yeah. So we spent off and on through homelessness. My mom was just very unstable. So she eventually got her RN and made really good money, but was
a lot better than bartending.
A lot better than bartending. We were not... She's not financially capable of doing anything. And so when you're on welfare, because we were on welfare while she went to college, they don't actually teach you how to budget and what to do with your money.
No.
They're like, here's some classes to take them. But most people just kind of blaze through it.
Right.
And what I think needed to happen is like, what do you call those people? Like a payee that manages your money while you transition off.
Yeah.
Because she got that first paycheck and it was like a drinking pot weekend, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's party time.
Party time.
Yeah.
So we were evicted from the house we were at in high school, and I kind of had enough of it.
Yeah.
I was with my boyfriend at the time, who later became the father of my first child, and I'd already been staying at his house a lot.
Okay.
And so I just kind of crashed permanently at 16 and we kind of floated around from house to house for a while.
Again, what do you do? What you're familiar with.
Yeah. And when we found out I was pregnant, I was 17 and we were involved in drug scenes, right?
Yeah.
And other people were very heavy into drugs around us.
Yeah.
And one of his good friends, and I can't remember that person's name. I think it was Brett. I don't really remember. It might have been Brett. And Brett and Wendy, that's what it was. They were heavy into meth.
Oh.
And we were hanging out. Now, he was a drug dealer.
Okay.
So he sold them the meth. Okay?
Yep.
And we were hanging out at their house. They got pregnant. They had a crack baby.
Oh,
Baby's
no.
always in the crib. It has now a flat head because they're just not. And they're like Josh's age. So I'm 17. He's 20. They're 20.
Yeah.
And Josh was like, yeah, I think we should leave. I was like, that's a good idea.
Yeah, let's get out of this situation.
And his mom lived in Reno. She was not stable. She left him. She got married when he was 16 and was like, I'm moving back to Reno, which was where he was born. See you later.
Oh.
He was like, I'm not going. So he stayed.
Okay.
Got a job. Got an apartment.
Yeah.
So we moved up there.
Yeah.
And that was it was better to get away from all of that.
Okay.
Not one person I went to high school with that was in my immediate circle is successful in any means.
Really?
Not even a little bit. All of my friends had parents with drug addiction and alcohol addiction. I had gone back to California sometime in the future to go work, and buried a couple of my friends' parents in my ICU.
No.
Right, like they died in my ICU, and I was 30. So it was not. I think people think of Napa as like this really wonderful, glorious place because of wine and riches. But what they don't understand is
there's an underbelly.
There's a huge underbelly.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, the Norteños and Sureños were very popular. They freaking run the city now.
Oh.
Run it.
Wild.
Yeah. And gang violence was kind of there, but not really there when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And I remember a couple gangbangers flashing their knives. Right?
Not guns at that point.
I think it's guns now, right? Like all the high schools are on lockdown. There's fences around. And when I was in high school, like you could leave. In fact, I never really went to high school. So I was very studious, very smart, always very smart.
Yeah.
I never went. I showed up one day in my sophomore, junior year, I don't remember, to chemistry class just for the test.
Yeah.
And got a C on the test.
Oh,
Hadn't been there the whole trimester or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I kind of operated. I never did any of the schoolwork. I would skip when I could. Every quarter, I'd have to go before a board. They'd say, you missed too many days. And I'm like, but I have a B.
Yeah.
And I pass all my tests.
Right.
What do you want from me?
Right.
Yeah.
I did honors English and honors history and all these honors courses
Cool.
my freshman and sophomore years.
Yeah.
I was hardly ever there. I got B's.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
A testament to even in the 90s, like school just was not very challenging.
Yeah.
Although even then it did provoke thought.
Yeah.
Like my history class, I actually enjoyed going to. And as I look back, I was like, oh, I was conservative even then.
Oh.
I called myself, but I voted, like later I voted Democrat.
Yeah.
But even then, the arguments I would have over immigration policies and these sort of things, because our history instructor was Hispanic.
Okay. Yeah.
And he like would purposefully ignite these things.
Yeah,
and,
I'm sure.
I was very loud, outspoken, always had something to say.
Right? I love that.
Very conservative policies even then, which is interesting because it's not my mother's standpoint.
Oh.
And I grew up with her only.
Yeah. Well, and that's where we get a lot of, everything from, right? Is who we're growing up with, who's teaching us, who's guiding us along. And so.
But I was always just an independent thinker and like the black sheep of the family, right? Like, always broke the rules.
What about your twin brother?
Then he stuck by the rules. He was a football player.
Okay.
And really delved into that.
Yeah.
Now my mom had two focuses and they were my twin and my little brother.
Not you.
Not me.
Oh.
I was always very independent. I didn't ever need help with anything when I was younger. And that was a defense mechanism as I've learned as I've gotten older, because I couldn't rely on the adults on my lives to provide that intervention.
Right.
So I just figured out how to do it on my own.
I got to take care of it
everything
by myself. Yeah.
Which if you look at our lives now, we are very different people, and I still maintain much more success than him. Not just financially, but emotionally and interpersonally.
Yeah.
Right. He's been very crippled by an enabling
mother. Yep. That's a thing.
She felt guilty because now my stepdad hit Robert a couple times, like twice. I remember it. It's not like he was super beating him. One time he did punch him in the face, and that's when my mom left him. But it wasn't something that occurred like all of the time. But if you talk to my twin, he was like beat to death all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like still scarred from all of this. And I'm like, yeah, at some point you got to get over it, dude.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Like,
Yeah. You can't keep using it as a, I mean, it's almost a crutch at that point.
A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
They blame all of their things that are happening today on things that happened then.
Yeah.
And it's like that may have shaped some of your decisions in your life
for sure.
or relationships, but it's not who you are.
Right.
And it's certainly not defining any decisions that you make today.
Right.
You're letting it, or you're using it as an excuse.
Right. Well, and victimhood is easier than taking ownership for yourself.
It is.
So again, I mean, we've said that almost a couple times now, where it's just, what's the easiest path? People tend to take the easiest path.
Yep, they do.
But
I feel like it's really hard to stay in that path because it's almost always negative and draining. And like you're just never happy.
Yeah.
And I used to have this saying when I lived in Reno. I worked with this nurse that loved fairy dust, and it was super funny. So then she would sprinkle people that were pissy with fairy dust. She literally carried fairy dust with her. And I did for a long time. And I had this saying that I poop fairy dust and fart rainbows. Right?
That's so good.
I'm not overly optimistic, but it makes people laugh when I say that.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, I get it.
That's so good.
So.
Yeah. I now that you say that, I had a boss that did the same thing. She had fairy dust. I totally forgot about that because she never had to sprinkle me because I'm generally in a good mood.
Men really don't like getting sprinkled with fairy dust though.
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a particularly grumpy coworker, and she got sprinkled a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have to.
Yeah, you have to. Something to bring some positivity into the world. Okay, so let's see here. You moved to Reno.
Mm-hmm.
But then it sounds like your boyfriend at the time's mom wasn't stable over there. So what was Reno like?
Sheila was good to us. She gave us a place to stay. We lived in her house for a while. But she's freaking insane and I can't stand them.
No,
she's just like, she's not very intelligent. And so I really struggled with a lot of things with her.
Was she confident about her positions though?
Oh my God.
That's what drives me crazy.
The sky is purple, man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's really just not.
It's not.
And it was a struggle. She wasn't broke, but she wasn't rich, right? And so like when we lived there, she always wanted Josh's money. Well, this is 1996. Josh is making like $9 an hour doing whatever he was doing at the time. And I'm pregnant. And she just wanted all his money for rent, right? And like anytime we bought food, she would just eat it all. She was obese. And it was just like, okay, so we're just eating McDonald's every day. Because back then it was like $2 and you got a meal.
Oh, yeah.
So I got so fat with my first pregnancy because all I did was eat McDonald's. But we couldn't have anything in the house, you know? Also, nobody taught me how to eat.
No.
Right? Like growing up poor, we did eat healthy. Because you couldn't afford junk food, right? When you're back then, when you're on welfare and food stamps, you get bread and milk and cheese and meat. You're not allowed junk food.
Right.
So we did eat healthy.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I think our biggest, the junk food that I loved to get was they'd show up with a bottle of marshmallow cream.
Oh, yeah.
And then we would eat all of it and then they'd get mad.
I have two tubs of marshmallow cream downstairs.
Yeah.
We do fluffernutters.
Oh.
You ever had a fluffernutter?
No.
It's a toasted peanut butter sandwich with marshmallow cream in there too.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
It's delectable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real good. So you're having to eat McDonald's, and nobody does teach us how to eat, right? I mean, let's hear. So you're a child of the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Food pyramid,
Wheaties.
Yep.
Frosted cornflakes.
Yeah.
Raisin Bran.
The amount of sugar in
actually, we
cereal.
were only allowed Cheerios. We weren't even allowed Honey Nut Cheerios.
Okay.
Yeah. So Honey Nut Cheerios was like a huge treat.
It's
so sweet.
Oh man, I do love both Cheerios and Honey Nut Cheerios.
We eventually moved out and got. Did we get an apartment? I think it was our first apartment on Whittakin Avenue, which was like in the ghetto of Reno, but not downtown.
Okay.
Right? Like we never lived downtown. And so Reno in the mid 90s was still a very small little city. So you had this like, I don't know, 6-block hub downtown. And then basically the rest of it was just neighborhoods. And then outside of 395, which is the highway that goes all the way around the city, is just rural. And back then there was nothing. I hear it's extremely just like city now and packed. So we lived in this tiny little studio, met some other shady characters. He's still dealing drugs at that time, you know. Fast forward.
Anything to make another buck, right?
Oh, man. It was hard. But it's funny, like, he ended up making like $13 an hour. We did not qualify for any sort of financial assistance.
Oh, there's nothing worse than being right there on the edge.
We were well past the edge at $13 an hour for a family of 3.
That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. $13 an hour was like rich in the 90s, especially in Reno. Our apartment was $350 a month.
Oh gosh.
And we didn't have cell phones, right? So we didn't even have a computer. I didn't even know how to do anything with computers till I went to college.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, because they were just really breaking out then. Mm-hmm. I'm still flabbergasted at the $350 and $13 an hour, because that means that 40 hours a week, you're paying rent with 1 week's worth of money, which, so a quarter of your income is rent. And then the rest goes. I mean, that's amazing, because most people are pushing 40-50% is going towards their housing expenses now.
Yep.
And so.
And we drove a 1965 Dodge Dart.
Oh, yeah.
No payment.
Nope. Sure, no payment on that thing.
Probably wasn't any insurance on it either. I don't know.
Just saving money. Yeah.
I don't even know if we had a landline back then. There just wasn't any. We might have.
Yeah.
And then like power bill, and that was it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, because then obviously the other expense is food. You said you got big during your first pregnancy.
Oh, I was so fat.
And still don't know like the right way to eat. Had you started to figure that out then? What are you guys?
When we moved out into our own apartment, I went back to just what I knew from high school, which was basically like eggs and toast and chicken.
Yeah.
And burgers.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And spaghetti.
Yeah.
I did not know how to cook.
Okay.
I burnt toast. I mean, I could not scramble an egg for the life of me. Josh laughed at me so hard. And YouTube wasn't around, so I'm not really quite sure how I figured it out. I think I just figured it out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have any friends in the area.
Right. You're flying solo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I just kind of figured it out.
Yeah. Well, and you've got a newborn.
I've got a newborn.
That'll take.
And I went everywhere in town with him. Josh worked. He had the only car. I did not drive. I didn't get a driver's license until I was 21.
Oh, okay.
And now I'm 18 with a newborn.
Yeah.
So I just take a stroller on the bus everywhere, which Reno was really easy because the city bus is cheap and runs every 15 minutes.
Perfect.
Anywhere you want to go.
Yeah. Go explore.
Yeah. And
go on
so
adventures.
I'd go downtown along the Truckee River. It was very family friendly back then. And so there was always family events going on and the parks were fantastic. So I liked living back there. I'm sad it's not the same, but
yeah. I've only been to Reno once, and it was 2002. And my grandpa and I were doing like a 2-week trip down to Vegas, and we were hitting all the hot spots along the way, checking stuff out. And I remember, so my grandpa used to own a Dairy Queen, and so late, I'm an 87 baby. My earliest memories are being in the back of the Dairy Queen. And at that point, I think I remember him transitioning to it being smoking to a non-smoking section and a smoking section.
Yeah.
And my grandparents quit smoking when I was born.
Oh.
Which was very sweet.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. But the kids today have no idea how prevalent smoking was back then. Everywhere.
Yeah.
And I actually grew to really like the smell, which sounds weird. Twisted.
Yeah.
But it's just a part of me being at the Dairy Queen, right? And so when we went to Reno, I remember it might have been Circus, or I don't know. We went into a couple casinos, and just the smell as soon as you walk into a casino is the smoke that saturated everything, right? Mm-hmm. And I loved it. And I remember being in Reno and just thinking, I love the smell. And this place is a little rundown.
Dude, Circus was always run down.
I was going to say, they opened it rundown.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah. We loved Circus.
Yeah.
We spent, because when you're local there, like you could just get these packages and everything was cheap and basically free.
Yeah.
You know?
So go do it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. And there's actually a lot more to do in Reno. We would go to the back hills out in the desert and go four-wheeling and.
Cool.
Yeah. We had friends that boogie boarded the Truckee, which is, I don't think safe because they do it like in spring when it's rushing. Oh. It's a mad river downtown. Yeah. But so, yeah.
People do crazy things.
They do. Yeah. We had some crazy friends back there. Yeah.
I love that. So you get some crazy friends. Mm-hmm. How long were you in Reno?
So I was in Reno for 5 years.
Okay, so you got established. Mm-hmm. He's got his $13 an hour job. You're raising a newborn. But like still trying to figure life out.
Yeah, well, I knew I needed to get my diploma.
Okay.
I actually got pregnant when I was 19. Okay, so everybody around me, including my doctors, was like, you don't need birth control because you're breastfeeding. You can't get pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
That's not true.
No.
So I got pregnant. But at this point, I know like Josh is just inviting over shady ass people.
Yeah.
And I'm like done with it. And a couple of them had ripped us off. And we didn't have a lot, right? Yeah. But so in the 90s, do you remember the black bomber jackets that were orange on the inside?
Oh, yeah.
Like I saved so hard for that $50 or $75 jacket or whatever it was and bought myself one, and somebody stole that from us, and I was so mad and heartbroken.
Yeah.
And I just had it, and he'd been getting really deep into methamphetamines and was becoming very aggressive and very mean, right? And so now
meth is not a good one.
No, and now like he doesn't want me to drive because if I drive, then I'm going to leave him, right? And
so there's some control in there.
So much control. He doesn't want me to go to school because if I get smart, I'm going to leave him. Yeah. Well, I'm already smart. Right. I already know I want to leave you. Right.
Right.
Like, I don't need school to tell me that.
Right.
But when I got pregnant, I was like, I'm not keeping this baby. Like I can't raise 2 kids on my own is my thought in my head. And Tristan's now 18 months old by the time I have the second baby. So working up to that, we had gone to Catholic Charities to place for adoption because abortion was not in the realm either.
That wasn't an option.
No, and I'm not religious.
Okay. I was going to ask anything growing up.
My mom was raised Catholic.
Okay. Yeah. East Coast. Yeah.
Yeah. Very Catholic. Went to the nuns' schools, the whole 9 yards, and was like traumatized by it. So she shopped us around to like every type of church you can imagine growing up. So I was very familiar with religion.
It's good exposure.
Very good exposure. I think Father Stevens at the Episcopal Church was my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Weird church, but everybody got dressed up and it was fancy.
Oh, it was nice. Yeah.
And so we were working through Catholic Charities, and this woman, I think her name was Mary, was like, well, what do you want to do? You know, we need to pick out adoption parents. And so we go through this whole process, but you know, do you know what you want to do after you have this? And there's like adoption support groups where you sit down with other girls and like, okay, I've settled on an open adoption so I can have a relationship with my child.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I wanted to be a vet when I was 7.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, what's your mom do? I kind of feel like this was shitty advice, but it started me out and has pushed me forward.
Got you where you are today. Yeah.
So I was like, well, my mom's a nurse. And she's like, well, have you ever thought about that? And I was like, no.
Oh.
She's like, well, they have CNA courses.
Yeah.
So I went to night school. I took my then 1-year-old to night classes with me to get my GED.
Oh, wow.
On the bus.
Oh my gosh.
Because Josh is not driving me.
I love how determined you are.
Oh, I'm like, fuck you. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
It's just.
There's that East Coast.
That's me.
Yeah.
All the way around. Like you said no and I said yes. So here we go.
Yeah. So I'm going to get a yes. Yeah. It's so good.
And I did. I got my diploma. I couldn't go when we first moved to Reno. I went to go to public high school, but they wanted me to get a bunch of vaccines because I came from California.
Oh yeah,
and I was like,
dirty Californians.
I'm not getting fucking vaccines. They're like hantavirus and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I didn't even live in Southern California. Like, right. I'm not.
You're fine.
I'm not doing this. So,
well, so where did that come from? Because most people are just so happy to.
I have no idea other than.
Is that
you're
like
telling me I have to do something with my body, and I'm like, fuck you, no, I don't.
Yeah.
It was just me telling the authority no.
Yeah, okay, all right.
I've always told the authority
perfectly
no.
good reason. Yeah, that's so good.
When they said you can't leave high school campus to go smoke, I'm like, yes, I can.
Yes, I can. As you're lighting up in their face.
Literally, as I was lighting up in their face, I'm like, I will go over there and I won't get in trouble. I'll be back for my next class.
That's so funny.
I was not a good kid in that fashion. I was just like, I'm doing what I want to do.
Well, and that makes sense too, because your authority figures, your parents and your mom and stepdad, like, are you going to respect their authority to tell you to do anything?
Oh my God, no. When I was like 14, when I got into high school, because I was a 4.0 student in middle school.
Okay. Yeah.
When I got to high school, like shit hit the fan. I was like free range.
Oh yeah.
I'd had no rules up until this point. Yeah. She's driving my twin to the same high school I'm going to, and I have to walk 2.5 miles.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, fuck you. Mom, can you drive me to a friend's house? Sure, Robert, I'll drive you. Mom, can you drive me to a friend's house? No, Heather, you can't go anywhere. I'm like, then I'll fucking walk. And so I walked an average of 10 miles a day in high school every single day. So I was always that way.
Love it.
Always.
Yeah.
Where was I going with that?
Let's see. Okay, so schooling, you were gonna go when you first got to Reno to high school.
So I got my CNA.
Yeah. Okay.
I went and after I got my GED, I went to Truckee Meadow Community College. Back then, they had an entire semester's worth to get your CNA certification.
Okay.
Went to night school, took the kid with me.
I love that.
And he was really good. Like, he was so quiet in class. I feel like that's part of the reason he's so intelligent now is because he just went to college courses the day he was born.
Yeah, he's got it. That's so good.
So I started working as a CNA. And so then the nurses around me are like, what are you going to do next? And so then I started taking the prerequisites for nursing school at Truckee Meadows. And I was really well established there and had a good group of study girls. At this point, cell phones are becoming popular. Josh now gets me like that blue and gray AT&T oval cell phone with the big buttons on it, so he can call me every 5 fucking minutes and be like, "What are you doing? Where are you at?" And I'm like, "I'm in a study group." And my favorite class was microbiology.
Oh, cool.
And I was really good at it. And my professor was like, you should be my lab person in here. Yeah. So teacher assistant lab, you get paid, you get decreased tuition, and you still get to do your college courses. And he totally didn't care because Eli still came to some of the classes with me.
Okay. Yeah.
And then during the day, because those were night classes, during the day, I would work part-time at a daycare.
Okay.
Really just to get out of the house. At first, the daycare was free for Eli, so I did get a little bit of a paycheck.
Yeah.
And to get out of the house. I don't like children though. So
I don't like other people's children.
I really struggled with that.
Yeah.
And then
can I pause you really quick? Okay, so Eli's number 2?
Number 1.
Oh, Eli's number 1.
Yeah. Kelsey is the one I placed for adoption. She's number 2.
Got it. Okay.
So they're 18 months apart.
Okay. Yep.
And neither one of them are planned for.
I wasn't planned either. I'm an accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but Eli turned out pretty well, and he's had some issues, but he's turned out pretty well, and he's successful. So I did something. He's a chemical engineer. I did something right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I did the best I could at 18.
Well, and that's
yeah.
I'm always reminded our brains aren't fully developed until we're 25.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about getting married at 19 and I'm like, that means my wife had to put up with 6 years of me still trying to figure it out. And it might even still be to this day.
Yeah.
But you have no experience.
You don't have any clue of what anything in the world is like. And it really hits you in the face when you just step out there and you're just like, shit, there's a lot to take in, right?
Yeah.
Let alone the financial aspects of it.
Yeah.
Like how I still at that age had nobody to guide me on financials or what to do with money. And, you know, Josh was still one of those people that extra money meant a new toy. Not and I have no clue.
There's no future planning.
I didn't even know I don't think I knew there was a stock market back then.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Like I'm just oblivious.
Right.
And I have no idea about a 401k or any of these things.
Yeah. Well, and nobody shows you how to balance a checkbook. Nobody.
Oh my God, no.
And hey, you should have 2 months, 6 months, whatever it is in savings because your breaks are going to need to get done and you didn't plan for it.
Mm-hmm.
And how many, if you're just buying the latest toys, when that thing comes up and they always come up, now you're in debt. Now you're scrambling to, I mean, it gets real fast.
It does. And God, I feel like it still happens today, right? Like your savings account builds up and now you need a $20,000 new roof.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah. Did that just happen?
It did just happen.
Oh, no.
And a $5,000 heat pump.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's been an expensive year.
I hate when those things come up because we just had to do brakes on both the cars. Obviously, the medical stuff, I was not expecting to get stupid sick over the last month. And there was a couple other things. And I was looking at the credit card bill and I'm like, what?
Dude, it adds up so fast.
It adds up so fast.
Especially today, right?
Especially today.
I feel like there's just no way it could have added up that quickly in the 90s because things just did not cost that much.
No.
And now, I mean, brakes, what, $200-$300 if you take it to a shop, $150 get the parts, do it yourself. And cars were easier to fix then, so you could. Especially ours, they were always a 65 something. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. There's no computer chip on there that you're having to.
Your worst issue is just tuning the carburetor just right. Right. You know, taking it off, cleaning out the gunk. At one point in time, we had carburetors on our coffee table, right?
I love it. That's so good. Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. We hung out with some white trash people.
Oh, I've been there too.
Yeah.
Still do it.
But I wouldn't trade it for the world because I understand how that part of the world works.
Yes.
Right? And there's a lot I'm very capable of. I can change my own tire. Do I? No, because I don't want to.
Right.
But I'm very capable of doing it.
Well, and it makes you well-rounded.
Right.
Right. I mean, you get street smarts. I can't even speak. Street smarts. Thank you, Brandon. Out of it, you get, and just, you
learn how to read people really well.
Yeah.
And read their energies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were saying there's some sketchy people coming over.
Yeah.
How do you get a sense for what that feels like? Their energies, their vibration, their mannerisms, their everything. And
their intent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So taught me a lot. Wouldn't take any of it back.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. And people I have had people be like, that's not normal. And I'm like, I mean, but like literally everybody around me grew up in the same situation. I think it's more normal than you think.
Oh yeah.
It's just not your normal.
Exactly.
Right.
And what is normal?
Right.
I mean, I think we're recording episode 26. Nobody has the same story.
No.
So if you can pinpoint for me what normal means,
right?
I know we all have that image in our head of.
There's the Brady Bunch image, right?
Yes.
Which still, that's a divorced blended family.
Exactly. So
right.
And a bajillion and a half kids. Not normal. It's not normal.
Right. But we have that image, or Leave It to Beaver.
Yes.
Right. We all have the Leave
We
It
have
to
that
Beaver.
Romanticized mom and dad. Mom's the housemaker. Dad comes home, give each other a peck on the cheek. Dinner's on the table. The kids listen. That never happens.
No. You have to tell them 5 times to come in and sit down for dinner. You didn't wash your hands.
Right.
They're covered in mud.
Yeah.
Like
the one with me is our bedtime routine is the same every night.
Yeah.
Doesn't change. But do we get the same results every night? Not even close. Every night it's a new adventure.
Well,
I'm like,
the
I don't
same
know how
results.
this is going to go. Well, I mean, in the end, they're in bed. Yes.
As far as like, it
the
still
process
takes
is different.
A long time every night. And I'm like, I don't understand why, because it's the same thing every night. Brush your teeth, brush your hair, get ready for bed. And here we are 20 minutes later. And I'm like, your teeth aren't brushed.
Right. What are we doing?
Like, I've literally been following you around, telling you to brush your teeth. What are you doing?
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Yep. Exactly that. Oh, okay. So that's normal.
Yes.
We've established what normal is.
That's normal.
Chaos and confusion is what's normal.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a good time. So Josh is Eli's dad, my first baby daughter. And he really did get far into meth, and it was just like, I'm going to leave. But I kind of knew he wasn't going to let me leave. And you can't leave the state with your child. It's considered kidnapping.
Oh, yeah.
But where do I have to go? Right.
I mean,
so
yeah.
I'm like, I'd weighed my options. I couldn't work at now I'm working at a daycare, but they're not giving it to me for free. So I have to pay. So basically I'm working to pay daycare. Well, that's stupid.
Wonderful.
UNR had built student housing, and like if you went to college for one of these majors, one of them was a photo studio, which I was really into photography. You could get the photo studio for free with your child if you're in college.
Cool.
And I don't remember why, but I didn't qualify for that.
Okay.
I think because I wasn't married. I think you had to be married to get into it. And so they had all these fantastic art studios. Like, it was awesome. It would have been a dream to go and be a photographer, right? And now my microbiology professors like work for me.
Yeah.
And like, I should have just become a microbiologist, because sometimes I suck with people, But I love
that surprises me, because I don't get that at all.
Really? Oh, in my head, I'm just screaming sometimes. But I love geeking out on science.
Yes.
Big time.
Yeah.
But I'm like, where do I go?
Right.
So I call my mom. I'm like, bring up a U-Haul. I got to pack my shit and leave. And now Josh knows I'm leaving, and I'm moving out on my own, quote unquote.
Okay.
Somewhere in Reno.
Is he still trying to be controlling?
Still trying to be controlling.
Yeah.
So she shows up while he's at work. We pack up the U-Haul with my little brother.
Yeah.
And go back to California.
Oh, you did kidnap.
I did. And I think, so Eli was like 3, 4 at the time. And we just stayed at my mom's house in American Canyon, which was a shitty rental. But whatever.
But it got you out of the situation.
Oh, it did. But now we're all back at the house.
Oh.
It's got this huge the addition on the front that's a great massive living room. And so we just put up curtains in the doorway and put up bunk beds, and we stayed there. My little brother and my mom and my twin brother have the other part of the house. My twin brother is an abusive asshole. Like, we had fist fights in high school.
Yeah.
Knockdown, drag out fist fights.
Who won?
Nobody. Cops always got called.
Oh.
Cops were at our house like every holiday.
Make an extra plate for them, because they're coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny. I think one of them actually said that one time. And
that's great.
So, Robert's, back to his abusive bullshit, and like, the world revolves around me, and it's my house, and I'm the man of the house, and you have to do what I say. At some point he took over this persona, because now my mom's been single since
I was going to ask, is she with anybody at this point?
No.
Okay.
No, had enough of the abusive relationship. She just decided to stay single.
Good for her.
So she left Wally for the last time when I was 8 or 9 or 10, I don't know, sometime in Napa. And went to college to get her nursing degree. Yeah. But, speaking to can't manage money, like, she took out all these student loans and went to this private college for her bachelor, that $100,000 in student loans, that here she is 40 years later still paying on.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The student loan thing is maddening.
God. So I was a single mom, so I was able to get Pell Grants.
Oh yeah, okay. Good.
For all of my associate degree.
Yeah, and now you're going to school there.
Now I'm going to school there. I'm like, Mom, I just need to move back and get my associate degree, and I'd already done all my prereqs at Truckee Meadows.
Yeah. Yep.
On Pell Grants, don't owe a thing.
Amazing.
Took out $13,000 in student loans there.
Yep.
Because I realized within like a year I cannot live at my mom's house. So I look for roommates and I rent a house. It's like $1,500 a month in Napa, which I don't know if you can find anything for that cheap there now.
No, not anymore.
And it was right by Queen of the Valley Hospital. I didn't have a car. I did get a driver's license in Reno. So this is funny. This is a funny story. I had to get a driver's license because I was like, Josh, I need to drive.
Yeah.
Oh, I know why. Because I got my Nana, when she died, left me and Robert money. It wasn't much. It was $10,000 a piece by the time it matured to us. Promptly, my mom borrows $3,000 from each of us right away.
Of course, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, kids.
We bought a Suzuki 4-door car.
Yeah.
Suzuki does not make cars for the United States anymore because of California emissions.
Is that what it is?
That is what it is. They didn't want to deal with it.
Because my first job at 16, I worked for a car dealership in the parts and mechanic shop. And I would run between the dealerships delivering parts. And one of the runners was a Suzuki, little four banger. I mean, the thing
it's probably what we owned.
Oh, I loved it. But I'm like, I don't know how this thing's legal in the US.
Oh, it was a great little car, but nobody teaches me how to drive. Sheila puts me in her like Toyota MR2 stick shift and is like, get on the highway. I can't even fucking drive, let alone stick shift.
Yeah.
Right. So that was a nightmare. And then I was like, forget it. I give up. So I just study the manual and then have Josh drive me down, take the Suzuki down to the DMV. I didn't even get out of the parking lot. I failed.
Oh, no. You didn't check your mirrors first thing when you sat down. Yeah.
And so then I think I just took the car out on my own. Yeah, he was like, just drive.
Go, yeah.
So then I ran it into a guardrail getting on the highway.
Beautiful.
Yeah, brand new car. He was not mad.
I was going to say, he was real happy about that.
Yeah. Eventually I got my driver's license.
Yeah.
But now I moved to California and I don't have a car.
Oh, yeah.
Josh is pissed I'm there. And he's like, I'm going to call the cops for you for kidnapping. And I said, I'm going to send the cops to your mom's house for the meth lab in the garage.
Oh, it's kind of a good bargaining chip.
Oh, yeah. I was a bitch. I was like, have at it. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So we were joking earlier about you and your brother getting into fistfights and the cops and everything. Josh had to be on the cops' radar.
No.
Really?
No. Never.
Really?
Really.
Oh.
There's bigger drug dealers in Reno.
Okay, so he was just small fish, and we let those ones float around the pond.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
So nowhere on the radar.
No, but you still had a good bargaining chip.
Even in high school, so he was a drug dealer for the Mexican mafia.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The lady, Susie, who we were very good friends with and lived with for a while before we went to Reno. Jesse was the cartel guy and he was always at the apartment. Susie was in a relationship on and off with him about 10, maybe it was 20 years ago now. Jesse got busted and he rolled on Susie and she got imprisoned and he got deported for like the umpteenth time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
that's wild.
Had we stayed in Napa, like we'd be in a world of hurt, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the path was a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and a lot of it was pot, but a lot of it was meth.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and two very, very, very different drugs.
And it was like dirty brown weed with seeds. It was like, I'm like...
Not the good stuff that we can just go down to the dispensary.
And now it's all legal, right?
I know,
the
it's
pot everywhere.
wild.
So...
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it was... And I don't think I even realized the scope of what I was in at the time.
Well, no, again, because how could you?
No.
It's what you're in.
Yeah. So
there's no reference point.
No. And everybody, I mean, my mom does drugs and total pothead. I got most of my pot from her. It was really good green bud. I stole it when she was sleeping,
That's so funny.
And she's, an alcoholic off and on again.
Yeah.
And all my friends' parents are, now I know, like Shannon's parents were doing cocaine and drinking. I knew they were drinking really heavy. We were allowed to drink at their house. Like something I will never... They gave us rules that you can drink and do your acid. That's another drug I did. I really liked my acid. As long as you're on the porch of the front house.
Great rule.
Like Not in anybody's world.
Yeah.
Every one of those friends that were around us still have addiction problems.
Oh, man.
Mostly alcohol. You know, and it's really destroyed their lives. They make it work in some fashion, but they're not, in my opinion, they're not functional adults.
Right. Well, get this cough out. Isn't it funny too? I mean, right, we were just saying, you're in the thick of it, you don't know any different, but deep down, vibrationally, spiritually, whatever you want to call it, you do know that it's not a good space. And so, of course, people are going to turn to escapism, aka addiction of some kind.
Yep.
Because even if they don't know any better, they still know it's not good.
Well, and I had some sort of sense in my head at that age, because I still have the little, notes that you fold up when you're in high school and give to your boyfriend.
Yeah.
And they were just like, Josh, I don't want this for the rest of my life. This is not how I want things to be.
Yep.
What are you going to do to change it? Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
At 16, 17 years old.
Amazing.
So I had some sort of,
I wanted
the Leave It to Beaver lifestyle, and that was not it.
Yeah. And you weren't going to get it there.
No. And I didn't want to be poor for the rest of my life.
Right.
Right? Like,
it's
it
not fun.
Sucks to wonder where your next meal is coming from.
It's the worst.
Working at a sandwich shop and taking the napkins home because you ran out of toilet paper. Right?
Yeah.
Those are not soft.
Nope. Sure aren't. No, they are not. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
So, but you are on the right path, because you're back home with mom, getting the degree that you need.
Yep.
And so where does it go from there?
So I just plug away through nursing school, and it's a 2-year program for associate. I rent the house with some roommates, cycle through a couple of roommates. Josh had actually moved back to California and became a roommate for a little bit until I found his meth pipes in the house. And it was very chaotic because now, Eli's got mom and dad there, but we don't get along and we're just fighting all the time.
Right. And Eli's how old at this point?
5.
Oh, yeah.
5,
okay.
6. So
cognitively,
it's a short, because I was not back in California for very long. It's a short time span.
Yeah.
3 years.
Yep.
Nursing degree, 1 year of nursing.
Yep.
And I kick his dad out of the rental, and I just have one other roommate, but I'm working at the vet's home weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They pay me 40 hours a week to do that so I can go to school for the week.
Sweet.
And it's a type of a veteran's loan.
Yeah.
But I don't owe anything on it, right?
Brilliant.
And the $13,000 loan came out because it's like, well, I'm between roommates and I need groceries and rent money.
And I still got to keep doing everything else.
And I have to buy a car. I bought a Honda Prelude from a junkyard for $750, and it freaking ran great.
I love it. Well, yeah, it's a Honda.
The only issue is it wouldn't pass California smog, so we just limped it along and had temporary permits for like 2 years.
Oh my gosh, I love playing the game. Like, I'm gonna get a yes.
Yeah, gonna get a yes. Gonna do it.
Yeah,
it was a great car. Bought a new engine for it for like $400 in Oakland. That was a trip. We took a wrong turn. Some guy I was dating at the time, he looked like a skinhead. And we were in like a very black neighborhood of Oakland. I'm like, I'm just going to run into this McDonald's because I'm comfortable in black neighborhoods. Right. I don't care. He's not.
Oh, yeah.
I run into this McDonald's to ask for directions. They're all cool in there. He's shitting bricks in the car. He's like, we need to get out of here.
Oh, that's so funny.
So I met my soon-to-be husband, Ari, through this mutual group of high school friends because we're still hanging out now that I'm back in California.
Yeah.
And my friend Angie. So this tattoo is my friend Angie. She's dead now, but she was my best friend from like 13 on.
Okay.
When I found out I was pregnant with Eli, she was with Dan, Josh's best friend, one of them, and I was like, I can't have a baby. And she's like, well, adopt it. And I'm like, you're just as fucked up. No, you're worse.
Hold on to him. Thank you.
But now she has a kid just 8 months younger than Eli.
Okay.
And Eli and Daniel are like best friends growing up. So that was the good thing about moving back to Napa, is to keep that close there.
Yeah.
And so she was kind of the only normal one. Her and Dan went into Christianity and got pretty normal.
Oh, cool.
Quote,
good.
Like no addiction, right?
Right. Yep.
That's my definition of normal is no addiction.
Force.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I got my nursing degree. I'm actually, I think 1 year into my nursing program, and that high school friend group introduced me to Ari. And I think now that I look back on it, like he was just another route for me to get out of California.
Okay.
Because I knew like I don't want to be here, but where am I going to go?
Right.
And when 6 months into dating, he tells me, well, actually his friend told me he was moving back to Minnesota. I'm like, when were you going to tell me?
Yeah. Thanks, dude.
And he's like, well, then you can come with me. And it's like, well, I have to work for a year as a nurse before I can move anywhere.
Right.
And I already had a job lined up. So he agreed to that. And then I was like, well, I'm not moving anywhere unless we're married. Like, sorry.
Again, I like your leverage points.
Yeah.
I have this thing. We're going to do it this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a risk with that, right?
Of course.
And so, I get my nursing degree. I work in the ICU for a year, and, I just told Josh, we're moving.
Yep.
You'll see your kid in summertime.
Yeah.
Like you don't get a choice in this. Like you're still actively in meth, and I don't give a shit what you think.
Yep. Exactly. And we're doing it my way.
Yeah. And you can complain all you want, but it's very easy for me to send the cops to your mom's house in Reno who's still cooking meth in the garage.
Yep.
Or her husband is, right? Like, right. So we took a couple visits to Minnesota, scoped out houses. He after high school, he moved there and lived there. So he knew a lot of people there, a realtor, all that, got that hooked up. And that's what moved us out there. And that was a really great area to bring Eli up in.
Yeah.
The schools were fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, the city was democratically run in early 2000s, but not like now.
Oh, yeah. There's a big difference.
And we did not live in the city. We lived out in the suburbs, like way out.
In which city?
We lived an hour and a half outside of Minneapolis in a town called Andover.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a hoity-toity, stay-at-home mom, do your Adderall while your husband's go to work town. So now I've graduated from poverty
and street drugs
to the Adderall lifestyle.
To pharmaceuticals and
but I don't partake
wives.
in this, right? Like, I just know that this, and it's the YMCA town, right? Like everybody's got a gym membership to the YMCA. And of course I had that. And, but then at the same time, everybody's very blue collar, like white collar, blue collar.
Yep.
Cool. And
it's a good blend.
Yeah. Down to earth.
Yeah.
Big houses, nice neighborhoods.
Yep.
Everything's cheap.
Yeah.
Cost of living's great.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. And
what does Ari do? What did he do?
So he's a welder.
Okay. Yep.
And that's kind of a hard trade demographically. In Minneapolis, it's very easy.
Okay.
They're a hub, they're a shipping hub,
Yep.
there's steel.
Yep.
There's aluminum.
Yes.
Coeur d'Alene sucks.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're 4 hours from a port and you can't get metal here.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Napa wasn't really great for it. There's just not unless you're going to go work in like Benicia and the industrial areas.
Right.
But now you're commuting 2 hours a day and you're paying toll and like your life is miserable.
Yeah. Nobody wants that.
No. So in Napa, he worked at a vineyard custom making those things that vines go on that then the machine comes up and they fold up to get the grapes.
Cool.
So he had some talent.
Yeah.
He also had a drinking problem.
Yeah.
So the product of alcoholism marries an alcoholic.
Yep.
Right? We're continuing dysfunctional patterns.
Yes.
And then wondering why the results aren't changing.
I think that sounds like the definition of insanity.
Right. Why do I have more, but I still feel like I'm broke?
Yes.
And I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Right. Like I have this big house, but there's no money in the bank. Well, cigarettes and alcohol cost a lot.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Sure do.
Yeah. And now I'm paying for my son to experience the world. Right.
Yes.
So 4-wheelers, boats, dirt bikes, all sports, all that stuff.
Yeah. Give him as many things and good activities.
Yeah.
Support that. It's going to be very beneficial for him now and in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But man, it costs money.
Oh man, does it cost money? And in camps, right? Like, so I sent him to awesome summer camps, not away camps, but day camps.
Yeah.
And even then, like the YMCA was $250 a week.
Oh yeah.
You know, and people complain about the cost out here. I paid, so when Tristan was later born, I paid $1,800 a month for a Montessori childcare. People are like, $600 a month is so much. I'm like, no, it's not.
Nope, really isn't. Oh,
I ended up hiring a nanny. It was cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And people are like, you're so rich, you hired a nanny. No, that was the affordable option.
Isn't that fun? Oh my gosh.
Also the better option.
Also the better option. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a really good lifestyle out there. I quickly got used to bugs.
Oh.
So our first house was this like 1978 split entry, you know, where you walk in and there's like a 3x3 landing and then the stairs go up or down. I hate those. Never buy another one.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Remodeled it right off the bat.
Yes.
It's like this kitchen sucks.
Yeah.
Because now I really know how to cook and I'm into it. Don't know where I learned it from. Because I'm still, even in college, I used computers to like type papers.
Yeah.
But not research. I was still getting books to research.
Right.
I'm still not, I don't even think I knew what YouTube was in the early 2000s.
But there's cookbooks.
I used
all
the
experience.
Cookbooks.
Yeah.
And it was great. And I really know how to cook. So I gave myself a decent kitchen.
Yeah. Good.
And we had, it was only a 1/3 acre, but it backed up to a sod farm.
Cool.
So it felt like you had tons of acres and you had a gate back there. And so you could just go forever.
Oh, that's so cool.
Kind of everywhere in Minnesota out in the rural areas like that, though.
Yeah.
Really nice.
It's a good feel.
Yep. And like this semi-private road, right? No major roads around. So 3.5 miles one way till it's a stop sign.
Yeah.
And that's what I ran every day because I was a runner then.
Oh, yeah.
And
well, and so not only have you, now you're working in nursing, you've got what feels real good, right? That middle America? Is that a good way of saying?
Yeah.
Good house, married. That ended up coming. Okay. And you're figuring out some of the health stuff. So you're cooking and probably cooking
well.
Well.
Yep.
You're taking care of yourself running.
Yep. Well, I'd actually picked up running in nursing school.
Okay.
I don't know. Oh, I think my mom had started going to the gym or something. So I started going with her and I realized running was a really good stress outlet.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in Minnesota, because now I'm part of the Y also, I learn about all the weightlifting.
Yes.
And I really love that. And then the stupid stuff like Zumba. Like, this is kind of fun because I can't dance. So it was like, now I feel like I can dance.
Yeah, it's good. I forgot about Zumba.
Yeah.
I love it.
And so, yeah, I'm figuring out the hell I plan to garden. My own garden. So Ari's mom is actually a master gardener.
Cool.
And so I think she's who gave me the idea for organic gardening and taught me about organic food and the crap that's on our food.
Yes. Well, and it feels like that comes because I was just meeting with somebody and she's like, how did you figure out all the food stuff and the health stuff?
Oh.
It's like you just, at some point in your life, something enters and you learn about it and then you go down a rabbit hole.
Yep.
And then it kind of opens up all these doors.
Yep.
And so, cool. Mother-in-law introduced you to the organic side of things.
She did. And I didn't have I still can't do a house plant.
Oh, yeah. A different story.
Such a different story. I had Ari build me these little raised boxes, like 2 by 6 feet or something like that out of pine, I think.
Cool.
We had a 1/3 acre, so the back corner of it was just like flat and perfect. We didn't have in-ground sprinklers, so I just hand watered everything.
Yeah.
But Minnesota is very humid.
Oh,
and the way, because of the sod farm, there was a line of trees, and that faced west, so it never got the afternoon super hot sun. It just got the morning sun. It was that was my best garden to date.
Oh yeah,
the location, the temperatures, the humidity, everything was perfect. Everything took off. Yeah. Vegetables galore.
Oh, that's so good.
I will never eat zucchini again.
Yeah, after a while. Do you want some zucchini? I have more zucchini. Yeah. Hey, do you want some zucchini?
Dude, at one point we had a neighbor. So block parties are really popular in Minnesota.
Okay.
And we had a block party and I did like all sorts of weird zucchini things, like just to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's some cookies.
But
here's some bread.
Else also had zucchini.
Here's just fried zucchini.
Did a lot of fried zucchini.
Yeah. There's a bajillion different things you can do with zucchini.
So funny.
But it's still zucchini.
It's still zucchini. Yeah. Zucchini Parmesan not the same as eggplant Parmesan?
No. Nope, sure isn't. That's so well, but then the winters are cold.
The winters are cold, but there's a lot to do. The sod farm we just went snowshoeing in every winter.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And ice fishing is huge. And so everybody has a fish house and a portable heater, and you just shack up on a lake.
Yeah.
His friends had like a single wide mobile fish house on Lake Mille Lacs, which is a big lake up there. And that was always really fun. Like it had an antenna and video games inside. So there's stuff to do for the weekend. Wow. And then we had a friend that had his family cabin was up on Lake in McGregor on Bass Lake, just a tiny little private lake, and his family never used it.
Yeah.
So he was like, well, it needs to be open back up, airy. Like you guys can go use it.
Cool.
So we use that every single weekend for years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? You have access to it. That sounds amazing.
Yep.
Well, okay. And this is, so in me reminiscing with Rachel about our 19 years together, it's funny how you have these struggles, this thing that you're trying to overcome, trying to get to a stable point. And you get to that stable point and it feels good. And it's kind of nice to breathe for a minute. Mm-hmm. But then for us, at least, there's always this next thing. Right. Like, okay, this is good, but I still want more. I still want to grow. There's another level that I can get to here.
Yep.
Are you getting to that? Do you start to feel that way? Or were you happy to be able to breathe?
I was happy to be able to breathe for a little while. And then, then I wanted to go further in my nursing career because everybody wants you to have a bachelor's. Now I only have my associates.
Okay. Yeah.
So I do that online, whatever. It's just research based. I'm like, I don't really care about that part.
Right.
So whatever. I already have all my skills.
Yeah.
And it was the layoffs. So it was the layoffs. 2008, the housing market crashes. Yeah. We've only been out there for 2 years. And now I'm like, shit, we paid too much for this house. Not too much. I
was going to say, thankfully you kind of preceded the inflation.
Yeah.
But you're at the beginning of it when you buy that house.
But the housing market crashes and then the economy takes a tank and I'm laid off from my nursing position out there.
Oh.
And that's when I was like, I need to go back and get my bachelor's so I'm more valuable. But also I don't have a job.
Yeah.
And I worked for temp agencies and kind of put together a bunch of per diem stuff as best I could. And then I called up Queen of the Valley back in Napa and I was like, hey, do you guys need anybody? Like, I can't move out, but I can do like, they were like, yes, we'd love to have you back. I think I saw an ad online, like it just came through or something.
Cool.
So I said, well, here's what I can do. So I worked, they agreed to it. 6 12-hour night shifts in a row, 8 off.
Wow.
I flew in Wednesday morning, worked my 6 12s on night shift, 7 to 7, flew out the following Tuesday morning. Every week for 2.5 years.
Oh my gosh, Heather. Yeah. How?
But the money was really good.
Yeah.
The money and the flights back then were $250 round trip.
Oh, that's not bad.
To start. By the end of it, it was $500.
Holy smokes.
But $250 round trip. And so I bought myself a car while I was out there. This tiny little Toyota Corolla, I think was like $1,200 or something.
Perfect.
I would park it at the airport for the week.
Yeah.
Parking cost like nothing back then. I flew out of Oakland usually because it was cheaper, better times, easier for me to travel to after getting off of 6 12-hour night shifts and driving straight to the airport.
Yeah.
I would park at the Bay Bridge metering lights, pull over, park on the side of the road in the emergency zone, nap for 20 minutes, and then continue through. every single time.
Yeah, I was going to say, you had this down.
I had it down.
Oh,
I carried my nursing books with me so I could study on the plane and a night shift. I'm working in the ICU. ICU, you only have 2 patients at night.
Yeah.
And if they're not unstable, you can do that.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
For 2.5 years. And I met some really great nurses out there. And Melinda is still one of my dearest friends. I have very few friends, and on purpose. And Mel is one of them.
I was going to say, it sounds way more like quality over quantity.
Yeah. I don't like superficial friendship.
No.
At all.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't work.
You better invite me to your wedding, even if I can't go, because if you're not, then forget it.
Right.
Or tell me about the important events in your life.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really have time for superficial stuff.
No.
You know?
No. And I randomly had a friend text me out of the blue yesterday, and he's a good friend, right? I wouldn't say like a best friend or anything, but I worked together with him for a couple of years. He's the reason that I made a banking shift to switch banks. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be on the trajectory that I am today. I wouldn't be in Coeur d'Alene. I would go down the list. There's a lot of stuff that wouldn't have happened if he hadn't been a part of my life. But we haven't talked for a few years, right? But it's amazing those people that this is a person that it could be 10 years. It could be a year. It could be 6 weeks.
Yep.
But when we connect, it's always awesome.
Yep.
There's depth there. There's appreciation. There's love.
Yep.
And those are the people that, when I'm 80 years old, I'm still going to have this person in my life in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. And that's Mel.
Yeah.
Right. And we had good times when summertime, I would just stay out there because Eli's still visiting his dad out there. Right. And I was like, well, just stay here. And, I stayed at my mom's house for a long time. And then I bunked up with one of the nurses there.
Oh, cool.
And would just stay there. Because my mom's was still so chaotic.
Has that stabilized?
No,
still chaotic.
Okay.
All right.
God, no. And during that time, there was a period of time where Ari was. Now I'm on the wagon and I'm not drinking, so Ari drinks a lot and I drink with him. I love to party, but I like to take breaks.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. And I like sobriety and I like the way my brain operates when I'm sober.
Yep.
And I'm also bugging him for children because that was one of the rules when we got married was I want more kids.
Yeah.
By the time I'm 35, I want to be done by the time I'm 35. Very clear.
Yep.
Right. These change through our marriage. Right.
Oh,
and his drinking escalates and mine de-escalates.
Yep.
Because I'm over it.
Yeah.
And
this was fun, but it's time to grow up.
So we're only 2.5 years into it. And he calls me drunk. His friend Shane is visiting Minnesota. He's babysitting Eli.
Oh, no.
And he's like, I'm fucking sick of babysitting your kid. No.
Oh.
And I said, I want a divorce.
Oh.
Over the phone. I want a divorce. I'm done.
Yeah.
So I got back, and this is probably 2009, 2010. I got back that summer, or from that trip, because I wasn't staying out there for the summer. I got back from that trip, and I bought myself my own home up the street in Andover.
I love it.
And told him he could have that house, whatever. And he's like, well, I can't afford the mortgage on this house. This should have been my first clue. I'm way outpacing this guy financially.
Yep.
And he's spending all my money and I'm not realizing it.
Yep.
Right. But it wasn't. And
right.
And then I'm like, whatever, then just rent a room there.
Yeah.
And I'll rent out that house.
Yeah.
So he's still staying with me. And then I think we didn't even really reconcile. We just continued living our miserable lives together.
Yeah.
And I was able to quit doing the flying back and forth and land a full-time position in Minneapolis in the recovery room, which is where I met Adrian.
Okay.
Male. He is a Romanian Brooklyn, New Yorker.
Oh, yeah.
We get along really well.
I was going to say that would either be really good or really bad.
Minnesota is a hard place for my personality to fit into.
Yeah, I could see that.
They are Minnesota nice, and I didn't know what that was till Adrian taught me. And once he taught me, I was able to fit in a lot better.
If you were to encapsulate it, what does that mean?
You basically say shit things with a smile on your face, and people don't know if you're mean or nice.
You just needed to add the smile, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And like in this really nice tone.
Yeah.
It's kind of like saying, bless your heart, right?
Yeah.
You have no clue.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
So we become good friends, and he was like, you should go work up on the cardiac unit, yada yada yada. So I went and I worked on the cardiac unit, and then I decided I'm going to get my nurse practitioner because the residents are stupid.
Yeah, I was going to say, because now you've touched recovery, what are all the different things that you've done in nursing?
So when I was working in California, I was still per diem in the ICU. I was per diem at a same-day surgery center.
Okay.
That was freestanding. So it was just like same days of like knees and shoulders and eyes and that kind of stuff. And when I went back to Minnesota, I would work part of the days that I was, quote, off.
Yeah.
Right. And cardiac ICU, I did a little bit of trauma when I was laid off and having to rebid for positions. Hate trauma.
Yeah, that would be.
And cardiac was always really where it was at.
Okay. Yep. Makes sense.
Yeah. And I really liked it. And I stayed in the ICU until Adrian and Eileen and all these nurses I work with, they're all older than me, and I'm in my 30s. They're in their 40s and 50s, and we're all really tired of the 20-year-olds coming out of college that are like killing people because they know everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get in trouble often in the ICU because this is where patient satisfaction really starts to take off. Well, patient satisfaction means you can abuse the hell out of your nurse, including throwing items and hitting her, and the managers are going to give the patient a gift card and apologize for the nurse's behavior. And I was the advocate for the nurses.
Yeah.
And I would be in these patients' rooms, and I'm like, you are not entitled to speak to anybody that way.
Right.
You are not entitled to abuse people that way. And I would always be in the nurse's office for pissing patients off. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Honestly, because this is wrong.
Yeah. You
and
treat
this is still
people
an
like
issue
people
that goes on today.
Yes.
The abuse nurses have to put up with is ridiculous. And these hospital systems are like, here's a gift card. We're so sorry. I'm like, how about you drop kick them? I mean, how about you just like let them die of their heart attack?
Yes.
Like,
well, especially because we've had a fair amount of experience with being in the hospital system, and doctors are great, but the nurses are what make the difference.
They really are.
The nurses are the most important people in the buildings.
Yeah.
And so for anybody to think, and like, I get they're in pain, they're not always in their right mind, all those things, you still treat people like people.
Right. And these weren't patients that were not in their right mind, right?
Yeah.
Like, these were just belligerent assholes.
Yes. Yeah.
Always
drop
men.
kick them.
Always men.
Yeah.
You know, you're not getting mad at the 90-year-old demented lady that's trying to get out of the bed.
No.
Right. Like, that's not the issue.
Right.
She's going to spit in your face because she doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't even know her own name.
Totally.
But these men that were very abusive, always racist too.
Oh,
so Minneapolis is definitely very multicultural.
Yep.
Super funny story. So Adrian and I are very used to Filipino nurses. Minneapolis had not seen a lot of Filipino nurses at that point in time.
Oh.
It was funny because like the Somalians and everybody were like, where are you from?
Yeah.
Oh, you're a nurse? Like, because Hmong people are very common there, but they don't tend to work in healthcare. They're also Asian.
Got it.
They look very different, but in certain people's minds, everybody looks the same, right?
Right. Yep.
So
you're Asian.
Oh, it's so
there's
funny.
A lot of diversity there, folks.
But in California and in New York, like there's a lot of Filipino nurses.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
the nature of.
everybody that's a nurse is probably Filipino. My friend Mel is actually Filipina, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then I went into, I was really done with taking ridiculous orders from residents. And this is where you really start to see the shift in critical thinking from physicians to textbook and just doing what you're told.
Yes.
I worked with this internist who was covering the ICU, and he was a former anesthesiologist, brilliant man, Dr. Lillahai. And he was always willing to teach, and he taught me so much about all of the deep down inner workings of the body. So,
cool.
Now I'm in functional medicine because I've always wanted to know the deep down inner workings of the body. How do things work? Why do they go awry? And Dr. Lillahai was always the one teaching me that.
Cool.
And I would always ask him, but why? And he never got mad. He just would tell me why.
Yeah.
And even how medications worked. There are very few of us in the ICU at that time that actually knew in depth how our medications were working on our patients. And so when you're in a cardiac ICU, you're titrating drips all the time. Yep. This one up for heart rate or down, this one up for diastolic up or down, systolic up or down, central venous pressure, right? Depending on what you're doing. You got a balloon pump, which helps pump a heart that's basically dead and the ventricles aren't working. And so you're titrating all these drips at the same time. And this is why I would get frustrated with these new nurses, because they wanted to learn all this stuff, but they didn't know any of the in-depth workings of anything, including the body systems, right?
Yeah.
And like how the kidneys are affecting the heart.
It's so important.
It's so important.
Because they just wanted the what?
They did. They just what do I do? And I want to do this. And it's like, and why do you want to do it? Like I was in the ICU because heart failure. All my family members, my two uncles and my nana, all died from heart-related issues.
Yep.
Granted, they didn't have the best lifestyles, right? So you can turn genetics on, or you can just leave them turned off. Yep. They were very good at turning them on. So I really got into like, why does heart failure occur, and how can we prevent people from getting in it? But I started at the end in caring for those people and taking them in reverse from heart failure out of heart failure in the ICU.
Yeah.
The residents, I started getting in arguments. I'm like, this is not the best medication for this patient, and this is why. This is the medication we need to do. Yep. And there was a couple times I just went over their head and called Dr. Lillahai. And then he was like, you're right. And then the residents would get pissed at me, and then I'm back in the nurse manager's office.
You're always in the principal's office, Heather. Jeez.
And I'm not cocky. I'm never cocky.
Yeah.
I will always question myself.
Yeah.
And I will always seek somebody else's opinion. Am I right or not?
Yeah.
And if I'm not, fine.
Right.
But I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I was and you get that repeatedly enough, and it's kind of hard not to be like,
right.
Would you just listen to me?
Right. And any older nurse will tell you that.
Yes.
And I think we all have, older nurses all get to that struggle with residents, and you're just like, you don't know.
Yeah.
I think some of the newer grads coming out are better at listening to their nurses.
I hope so.
But they're not as good at critical thinking through situations, and kind of rely on other people around them too much.
Yep.
So I was like, well, some other nurse I was working with started talking about an NP program, and I was like, maybe I should just do that. So I did.
Yeah.
And I just plugged. So now, I started that, but I'd also decided I wanted my own baby.
Yes.
35 was approaching.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't care that I'm in a miserable relationship, and I don't plan on staying married to this man. I want a child.
Yeah.
So I had a child.
With Ari?
With Ari.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
I quit taking my birth control, and we got pregnant, and his first words to me were, have an abortion. And I was like, fuck off.
Yeah.
No, and you don't have to have a part of this child's life, but I'm not having an abortion. He was drunk when he said that. He was drunk a lot.
I was going to say.
But he doesn't look drunk when he's drunk.
Okay.
And we'd already been having these on and off again arguments about his drinking, right? Yep. So But you know, I'm making decisions for me,
right?
Regardless of this person that's sucking my emotions and money.
Right. Well, and you don't have an expectation of, or you're going to have to step it up. I mean, you would have liked it, I'm sure, if you had.
Right.
But I'm taking care of this baby. I'm raising this baby.
Yeah.
Doesn't have anything to do with you. Thank you for donating your DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He eventually was like changed his tune and was very happy to be having a baby. And he's like, yeah, I mean, look at you. You're working full time. Now you're in school 3/4 time.
Yep.
So I took the 3-year option instead of 2-year option and pregnant.
Yeah.
And my last night working in the ICU, I was 8.5 months pregnant. And
Holy smokes.
This surgeon, I hated this heart surgeon because he just didn't care. Like, he just operated on anybody. And this lady was 89 years old.
Oh, no.
She comes up from the OR. I'm like, she's not stable.
Yeah, no.
Before he even leaves my doorway, she's coding. And I'm having to I'm like, I can't even fit between the bed and the wall and the IV pump, right? I'm like, other people have to run this code.
Oh, my
gosh. I did compressions for 2 seconds. I'm like, this is not going to happen.
No.
I can't. And I was like, I got to leave the ICU.
Yeah.
And I actually took a part-time position in so I always had 2 or 3 jobs. So it's hard to keep it straight. Like which one came where. I took a part-time position in cardiothoracic surgery at the neighboring hospital, running their CV program as a nurse clinician.
Okay.
That I actually don't have the qualifications for.
I mean, but you
on paper
do.
On paper, I don't have this clinician degree, right? But I have all this experience.
I'd much rather have the personal experience.
I had applied for it before I was showing too much, so I didn't tell him I was pregnant. And then I developed this really great program with the PAs and the surgeon there. And Krista, the PA, and we'd all become friends. There's only 4 of us in the office become friends at this point. They were so pissed that I was taking maternity leave. They were because I did a lot. I pre-opted the patients in clinic. So I brought them in. I did their consult before the surgeon did their consult. The surgeon at that time, I loved David Joyce, but he had horrible bedside manner.
Yeah.
He just didn't know how to educate patients. He was just like, this is what we're going to do. So I would educate them first so that by the time he came in, they actually knew what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And I do all the pre-op orders. That's pretty standard algorithm, right? And he just signed them. And then I'd review the orders with the PAs and we'd follow up on things and get them ready for heart surgery. These are non-emergent heart surgeries,
right?
Whether it's valves or non-emergent bypass. And I did that for 4.5 years. And I got my NP while I was doing that.
Cool.
The majority of it. And I had the option to stay.
Yeah.
And make really good money.
Yeah.
Or go. Well, my last semester of my NP program, Eli, who is now 16, Tristan is under 1.
Oh my gosh. Have a spread.
And I'm finishing my NP program, working full-time at the CV Surgery Center. And Aries, helping out.
Kind of.
I run everything, right? Like he does the lawn work and I run the household. And Eli had a part-time job. He's in his senior year. He has a part-time job at Walmart. He gets rides home from his friend.
Yeah.
If he can't get a ride, call me. It's 9:00 at night. I go to bed. I have knocking at my door and the cops are at my door.
Oh, no.
Lights flashing.
Oh, no.
I'm like, I used to smoke and I had quit smoking for the 3rd time when I got pregnant with Tristan.
Yeah.
And again, quit drinking, right? Yeah. And then that's a whole nother argument with Ari, right? Like you got to get sober. I took the cigarettes with me, his pack of cigarettes, and left the house in the cop car. Eli had chose to walk home from Walmart. It's 9:00 and dark at night. He had a green light. A 16-year-old that also worked at Walmart took the green light and zooming 30 miles an hour around the corner and hit him.
Oh, no.
He bounced off her windshield and then flew 30 feet and bounced the other side of his head off the pavement.
Oh, no.
And I get there, he's in the back of the ambulance and is total traumatic brain injury. And if you haven't seen that in real time, like I know what it looks like because I worked in it, right?
Yeah.
Confused as all get out, combative, not knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
Amazingly, no broken bones, just his head and his glasses.
Whoa.
Yeah. So we go, and now I'm in ICU at the local hospital, which I just hate. And I had worked in that local hospital when I first moved to Minneapolis, and that's how I know I hated it.
Yeah. You've seen behind the scenes.
Oh, man. And so there's a thing, when people are combative and confused, whether it be traumatic brain injury or dementia, you get a one-to-one sitter in the room so they're not pulling out lines and all that kind of stuff.
Makes sense.
They had to intubate him in the emergency room, put a breathing tube in because he was so combative. His blood pressure was like 200 over something.
Yeah, and putting pressure on his brain. And
they're concerned about a brain bleed, which he did have when they were able to sedate him and put him through CT.
Holy smokes.
And, but I was pissed about that.
Yeah.
Like that. I was pissed about the whole way they went about it in the emergency room and everything. They wouldn't let me in there with him. And all he kept asking for was me.
Yep. And is there any reason they couldn't have?
No, they were just being assholes.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yep.
They were just being, and I know how this works. And they were just asserting their authority.
Yep. Oh, that irritates me so much.
It really did irritate me. And then in the ICU, I suddenly become his one-to-one. I'm there to keep an eye on him and to monitor the healthcare that's occurring because I don't trust this hospital system.
Yeah.
Well, now I don't get to sleep.
No.
And I got a baby at home.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm also on the phone during the day calling family members that all live out here on the West Coast to see who can come fly out and help keep the household down and take care of Tristan and the dogs and take breaks with me at the hospital because Aries still got to go to work.
Yep.
And, we have a nanny, so that's helpful.
Yeah.
But oh, God, it was such a nightmare. 2 weeks I lived in that freaking ICU.
Yeah, I was going to say, how long was he in there?
2 weeks. And he had a frontal temporal bleed, so frontal lobe, which is your impulse control.
Yep.
And a little bit on both temporals. And he didn't need surgery or anything.
Okay.
That was good.
Yeah.
Dude has a thick head. I'm telling you, if you
I was
going
to say,
you're
you
just like, he has a thick head.
30 feet.
Yeah.
Smacking your head on stuff.
Yeah.
And
so he's
being thick-headed is both blessing and curse.
Right. He's literally thick-headed.
Thick-headed. Yeah.
And I didn't think I'd be able to finish my NP.
No,
and now I have to take time off work.
I was going to say, not only were you already juggling everything, a newborn by itself is a full-time job, but now you've got a 16-year-old that how much care am I going to have to give him now and for how long?
And then they wanted him to go stay in rehab. And I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea.
Oh.
I'd rather just take him home. Part of it, I think, is because I'm controlling and I don't trust the healthcare system.
Yeah, there's that.
I don't trust what they're going to do behind the scenes.
Yep.
What kind of meds are they going to put him on to manage behaviors? Right. Because even then, I don't like medications.
Yeah.
Right.
Which coming out of the Western medicine field, that's your arena.
Right.
You had the not taking the vaccines because authority.
Right.
And now not liking putting people on these drugs.
Right.
Where did that develop?
So,
well, because you had been asking the whys.
Yeah, and I work out all the time, and I'm treating my body a lot better, and I'm understanding how my body works.
Yeah.
And in very back when I did my associate degree, our nutrition programs actually meant something.
Yeah.
And they taught you how nutrition does impact the body.
Yep.
Right. And I'm surrounded by a lot of different older nurses that also refuse to take medications for various reasons, but the side effects, right? So I'm like, well, why are these side effects? And so when I'm in my NP program, so I actually started out at a different NP program, and I took the whole 2 classes of the first semester, and I was like, this is shit.
This ain't it.
the pharmacology portion was ridiculous. They were just like, give this med. And I was like, this is horrible. Like, I don't even need to crack a book. I didn't crack a book and I got an A on all the tests. I'm like, not safe for nurse practitioners. So I go to a different program. And we go into the pharmacology portion. Everybody else is kind of doing this superficial stuff, and I am diving deep down. I know what these medications are doing and how they're doing it and their mechanism of action, what systems they're interrupting, and what that's going to potentially mean downstream for another system.
Yep.
So now I know all of this, and I'm like, there's just no reason for a lot of this if you can figure out why the problem happened in the first place.
Right. Well, and I think that's the thing that drives me craziest about Western medicine. And I appreciate emergency care, right? If I break a bone, if I've got something like, yes, fantastic. But we are complex systems. And when we have a symptom, it's our body screaming out, hey, there's something underlying here. Let's get to the root cause. But I'm giving you this warning sign. This is me raising a flag. And we treat the flag instead of figuring out why the heck the flag went up in the first place.
And I always hated that.
It's awful.
It's horrific. I'll never forget. I went in, after I had Tristan, I had an IUD, and I went in for right lower abdominal pain, like this sharp stabbing pain. And they were just like, I don't know, it's probably nothing. Like no imaging, no anything. They have no idea. Fast forward to all my years of experience. And I'm like, well, I had ovarian cysts from my IUD that's progesterone only, like, which I had taken out years ago, but it's like, y'all couldn't just like use your brains and figure that out.
Right.
Because they don't know how the medications work and they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Right. And that was always my pet peeve.
Yes.
About Western medicine and all these people just like, here's another pill, here's another pill. And I'm like,
the textbook says do this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do this.
And I hated it.
Yeah.
And when I did my clinical rotations, I worked with some really good nurse practitioners and medical doctors that were like, this is probably what you were trained on for these labs, but here's what you actually need to look at.
Yeah. That's so huge.
Very huge.
Yeah.
And, so all those pieces put together, right? So these constant life changes that I have of, improving my own fitness and improving my own nutrition and my own mental health, right? Putting all those pieces together, having been trialed on stupid medications before for my high cholesterol that nobody could figure out why it was ever high.
Yeah.
I did. And... it's just like there's a better answer.
Yes.
And allopathic medicine is not it. A pill is not the answer.
Right.
A pill is a temporary...
It's a Band-Aid.
Band-Aid for the problem.
Yes.
But you have to figure out what the problem is.
Right. Well, you said it at EBC this past week where, if you come in 200 over 100 on blood pressure, I'm putting you on blood pressure medication, but we're going to figure out why you were there and get you off this medication.
Right. Right.
And that's not the mentality so often. And then it leads to, I had this issue. I'm taking this pill. Now I have this issue. Oh, well, we have a pill for that one too.
Yep. And people, so I hear this really often. I have a lot of anxiety. And then when, then you ask how much they drink and they say, I don't drink that much. And you're like, well, what do you drink?
What does that mean?
And how much?
And be honest with me.
And it's like 2 to 3 drinks a day, double it. Right.
Yes.
And that's actually true.
Yes.
Like that you double it. And I'm like, okay, well, you're telling me you have anxiety every morning when you wake up and throughout the day. You don't sleep at night. You have a hard time going to sleep and then you can't stay asleep and that you feel dehydrated all the time and that your stomach is you always have heartburn. Like it's the alcohol.
100%.
And they're just like, no, it's not. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you, I can give you all the pills in the world, but the alcohol is the problem.
Yeah. Do you want to actually fix the problem or you want to take antacids and still be I'm highly anxious and all the other things.
And I'm the type of practitioner that like in my clinic, because I have my own clinic now, I'm like, okay, if you don't want to address that part of your lifestyle, there's nothing I can do here because I'm not going to give you 5 different prescriptions because that's not the problem. Right. It's not a lack of prescriptions that is your problem.
Yeah. Well, and you and I have talked about this, and this is one of the things I appreciated about you most is you have to be willing to help yourself.
You do.
And then that's why I'm here.
Yep.
I will help you get there. But I don't have a magic pill for you.
Nope.
You have to put in the work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even on the mental health standpoint too,
yes.
right? Like there are a lot of life challenges. I get it more than anybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I've been through some shit.
You've seen some
Never
things.
Never once did I feel like, oh, woe was my life. Yes, sometimes I think, God, it would have been nice to just have had a functional parent. Right?
It's kind of it's nice.
That would have been nice.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Right.
You're super lucky if you did. I actually, side note, one of my old hairdressers likes to complain about her horrible life when she was growing up because her parents were too Christian. Now, I think her father was sexually abusive. Let's take that out of it.
Right.
She hates her mother. Her mother didn't know what was going on at the time. And her biggest complaint is always she has religious trauma. I'm like, I would have much rather grown up in a religious household than a drug addicted household.
Yeah.
Because you have way more stability.
Yeah.
You know, my friend Danielle, when I was growing up in high school, her mom was such a religious nut. She locked up the freaking Tylenol because she didn't want us doing the drugs. It was like, she's doing acid with me in the bedroom, but okay.
Yeah. But you lock up that.
Yeah. But like, she was very functional. Yeah. You know what I mean? And she was very sane with her children, and she had rules and the same rules for all the children. None of them grew up. I mean, they're all a hot mess now, but.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the important point is we said it earlier. There is no normal.
No.
And so none of us are perfect. Rachel and I have screwed up a lot raising our 4 kids, and it's been different with each of the 4 kids where we've screwed up. And we, you know, like I think about me being the oldest of 4 boys, and each of my brothers has a different experience with my parents growing up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we all have things that we can complain about.
Yep.
They were too strict. They weren't strict enough.
Right.
We moved around a lot. We never moved. I never got to experience anything. It's the classic. We're never happy with the thing that we have. Oh, I'm blonde. I wish I was brunette. Right. I'm short. I wish I was taller. I'm this. I wish I was that. Like, but you have to deal with some shit, and you have to figure out how to get over it.
Yeah. And you have to take it as a lesson.
Yes.
Right.
And you get what you need.
Yeah.
It's going to help you in some way, shape, or form. Where's the silver lining? Figure out how you grow.
Yep. Yeah. And you can't hold things against people. Like, I don't hate my mom because she did a shitty job parenting and she's still on and off alcohol, right? And still a pothead. Like, I'm not mad at her at all. She has really poor coping mechanisms and doesn't know how to make it through life. And I feel really bad for her on that aspect.
Right.
And you know, there was a former me that was like, I will help fix you. Right. Yeah. And I did, but you can't with certain people, and you just exhaust yourself, and you just have to accept people as that is who they are.
Right.
And you can be mad, but it takes a lot of energy to be mad.
Yes. And to try and force your help on somebody when they aren't ready for it.
Yes.
And that's where with all of the addicts in my life, I got to the point, because you can take them to all the rehab centers. You can set them up as much as you want. You can introduce them to get jobs. Like, name the various things that we all do to help the addicts in our lives.
Yep.
And at some point you realize when they're on their way down, when they like being on their way down and they're still in their addiction, there's nothing I'm doing that's helping them.
Nope.
As soon as they are ready to make a change, I can help.
Yep.
That's the starting point.
And that's the same thing with depression too.
Yes.
Right? Like when people you've got your pessimists and then your people that are just really wallowing in depression. You can only do so much. And even sometimes just being an ear in those situations can be very enabling.
Yes.
You know? And so you have to, something I'm still learning is how to set boundaries. Right?
Boundaries are hard.
Boundaries are hard.
Yeah.
Because even once you set them, sometimes you let people nudge them a little bit. And you learn real quick, nope, can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, even though you feel like a jerk. It's like,
right.
It's not self-indulgent to be self-protective to a certain healthy extent, right? But it does protect your soul and your spirit from total exhaustion.
Yep.
And being in healthcare, right? And constantly giving to everybody else.
Yeah.
Like you'll reach that burnout real quick if you continue it.
Yep.
And I had to learn that the hard way. And I also had to learn how to be able to put those limits on patients so that I actually had something left to give at home.
Oh, yeah. That's well said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because not only are you trying to help your patients and get them healthy, but you're kind of raising your mom, raising children.
Yep.
Yeah. They need something.
They do.
Yeah.
So it's always a lifelong process.
Yeah.
I've had some really good. After my divorce, I think it was before my divorce, I really started diving into like, why do I make these decisions? Like, and various decisions. Why do I make too quick of decisions? Right. Because it's very easy for me to be like, shit's hitting the fan. What state am I going to? Let's move. Let's go now.
Yeah.
Right. And just leave a wake of destruction in the path.
Yeah. The grass is greener.
Yeah. So to slow down and to really reflect, I'd have to say Sven Erlandson is a former pastor counselor out of Minneapolis. He's from Canada, but he's in Minneapolis. And I don't remember where I heard of him from, but his book, A Hole in My Love Cup. I did the audio version because I cannot sit and read for prolonged periods of time. It is a workbook into your whys.
Oh, cool. That's good.
Yeah, it is a self-counseling workbook into your whys.
Yeah.
And I went through that twice.
Yeah.
And that just showed a lot of insight. And then I was really able to just forgive my mom for being a shitty mom. Like she did the best she could at any given time.
Yeah.
Her parents did not teach her anything.
I was going to say.
They all grew up in a household where it was, here's money, get out of my face, see you later.
Yes.
Well, how do you learn to manage money that way?
Right. When it's just handed to you when you need it. Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be really nice.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, she had a privileged lifestyle, though she doesn't think. She lived for 4 years in Costa Rica.
Oh, I wish.
Yeah.
Every time I'm down there, I'm like, yep, I'm selling everything and I'm moving.
Yeah, all of them. They were on the east side of it, but yeah, all of them.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So
it is paradise. Pura vida.
I know. We went once a couple of years ago. Oh, wait, no, I went with Mel.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You need to plan another trip.
I do. It's on the radar.
We should get everybody in EBC to
That would be so fun. Just a huge house on the beach.
Yeah. Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
So good. Okay. So how do you get to where you're at today then? Because we got some of the philosophy in there and what led to the why and how you are.
So COVID did a number on everybody.
Oh my gosh. Did it ever?
And I was going into perimenopause at the time and didn't know it.
Which is another one of those failings of the medical system because
a
lot of people didn't even realize it was a thing until recently.
Nothing about it.
Yeah. There's menopause.
Your life is over.
Yeah.
That's
hey, there's this whole period leading up to menopause called perimenopause.
They don't teach you
and
that.
You're going to love it. It's going to be great.
COVID hit. I was running street medicine out of Heritage Health.
Okay.
And they were suffering financially because of all the things economically that occurred. And they really wanted me to start seeing a patient every 15 minutes. Well, in street medicine, I was spending an hour with my patients. This is a very vulnerable population. And I'm not trying to fix any of these people. I'm trying to have compassion for them and help them limp through their homeless, addicted lifestyle in a better fashion.
Yep. And that might be the glimmer of hope that they need.
Right.
To get things.
Oh my God, they loved me. And I had a really great team at that time as well. And Heritage just started with all this stuff and then just societally, and I was an emotional wrecking ball. So like I was in tears half the time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I said, I can't do this anymore. And I wasn't meeting quote measures because I wasn't prescribing. And I'm like, well, first off, these people aren't taking their pills. They live on the street.
Right.
Like they don't even take their mental health meds. Like I have to convince half of them to get long acting injections just so we can keep them out of psychosis.
Yeah.
And I wasn't meeting measures and I'm like, fuck your measures.
Right.
But that's how insurance pays. And
the insurance.
Yeah. So
gross.
And they needed me to see more patients per hour in order to get more insurance reimbursement.
Yep.
Which is all Medicaid dollars, by the way. So now we're trying to manipulate the Medicaid system that you and I pay for.
Yep.
And I'm like,
which works so well, by the way.
And to be just crappier care for the most high risk patients. And I'm like, absolutely not. Like, I don't care what you're getting reimbursed. I'm here providing a service.
Right. Where's the morality there?
None. Right. And so I was like, on a whim, I quit. And then I was able to convince him to fire me to get severance pay.
Oh, very nice. Just kidding. Can you actually fire me? Thanks. Appreciate it.
And all you have to do is be a little bit louder. Right. So I was a little bit louder about the COVID stuff. And then they were like, we don't want you to come back. Here's your severance pay. I was like, great. Thank you.
Oh, gosh. The COVID stuff.
So I just kind of floated around there and I was like, what am I going to do? And now I'm divorced.
Yep. Okay.
And renting a house. And so I decided, oh, well, maybe I'll open a med spa because aesthetics is the whole huge thing.
Yeah.
And I'm aesthetic trained. Yeah, no, that wasn't my cup of tea.
Not your jam.
But while in that world, I learned how to do stem cells and PRP, which I was familiar with PRP because I'd been having it done on myself for various joint muscular issues.
And remind me what PRP stands for.
Platelet-rich plasma.
That's right.
Yeah. The injection that heals your muscles for sure and definitely helps with pain in the joints. And so I started diving into that world and I learned about the functional medicine. Now it's, quote, new training, but it's not. Like, it's something providers like me have always been doing on our own.
Right.
Finding out why things work the way they do and get broken in the body.
Do you ever think of yourself as a detective?
Always. I'm a body detective.
Yeah, body detective.
And if I don't know the answer, I'm going to go home and I'm going to dive really, really deep into finding it.
Yeah, it's so fun.
And so I got my functional medicine training, but I'm floating around, to these 2 different clinics, 1 and then 2. And both of these men were just like, oh yeah, I really like everything you have to offer. Can you help me make this clinic better? Can you do this, that, and the other? The first clinic, actually it was 3 men. The first clinic I did, and I quickly regretted that. The second one, I was like, I will, but you're going to pay me for it.
Yes. You have a skill set.
Yeah. And then the third one was more the same conversation. What I actually said to him was, I won't help you. I will come work with you, but I won't help you improve your clinic at all until I'm partner and I see money flowing in my pocket because this is my brain and I don't feel. And this is another one of those setting boundaries and things learning along the way, right?
Right. Boom, boom, boom.
It's
you have
my
3 examples
expertise
right in a row.
you want. You're gonna pay me for it because all these men get paid for it. I feel like you're just taking advantage of me because I'm nice.
Yep.
Well, I'm not being nice.
Yep.
And he, 8-9 months into it, really just was not making that happen. And I was like, I can just do this on my own.
Yeah.
So I did. So I opened my own. I'm like, I'm not pussyfooting around anymore. Like, if all these people want, not all, but now I'm 3 times into this, want my expertise because I have something of value.
Then why am I not just doing it myself?
Why am I not just doing it myself?
Yeah.
I can figure out the business part of it.
Yeah.
I just opened on my own, no loans, just
doing
my own thing, slow growth so I can manage it.
Yes.
Not take out the business loans because I don't want them.
Right.
And I do all of the back end, my stuff myself.
Yeah.
And I'll continue doing it until I can't and I'll hire out.
Yeah.
And I don't find that particularly stressful because I balance things. Sometimes I run a little behind in the paperwork part of stuff. Because I'm like, well, I'm going to go paddleboard today because I need that.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure I don't see patients before 9 because I'm going to go work out first.
Yes. Yeah. If you're not right,
you
can't bring your best.
Right. And I can't preach if I'm not going to practice.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I hate it when the diabetic morbidly obese doctor is giving the diabetic morbidly obese patient advice.
It's the worst.
I'm like, no, you can't.
No, it's
like the smoker telling the smoker to quit.
Right. Well, and when you have, what are we at? 70% of the U.S. population is overweight, 40% is obese. And definitely going to include some of the doctors in there.
Yep.
And why are they there? They don't know, or at least they're not practicing what they do know to fix it.
Right. Ugh. And, I'm not perfect by any means, right? Like, I love my cookies and
who doesn't?
Whatever else, but everything in moderation. And I always teach my patients progress, not perfection.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And the other thing I teach them is don't get on the scale.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. Don't get on the scale.
Brilliant.
Unless you're trying to gain. If you're thin and you're trying to gain muscle, get on the scale, right? Because your clothes might not fit a whole lot differently.
Right.
But if you're trying to lose, I'm telling you to build muscle and you're lifting weights 5 days a week, don't get on the scale. It's not going to move.
Yep.
Your clothes are going to move though.
Yes, for sure.
And bigger.
How do you feel?
Yep.
Yeah. Way more important.
So that's that's actually the short version of how I got into all of this, right? Like a little discombobulated because there's so many years in this. I should just write it all down sometime. But I have always been very inquisitive, always wondered why. Oh my God, in math class, I was like, why does that problem work out that way?
Right.
And they hated me because the teacher didn't know. Because it's math, that's what it is.
Oh, no.
That's a horrible answer.
That's a terrible, just because.
Yeah.
Because.
Yeah. Because I said so. No.
I need to know why.
Yeah. Always needed to know the why.
Yep.
And I think it's important that patients know the why too.
For sure.
I totally overwhelm people with the amount of information that I give them, but I'm like, keep coming back and I'm going to keep saying the same thing. And by our 10th visit, you're going to just totally understand all of it. Right. And I write some things down for them. I'm like, this is all the information, but these are the 2 pieces I want you to take home today. Yes. And this is it. You can forget everything else.
Soak these 2 in.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah.
So
that works.
Yeah.
That's so good. Well, and I feel like, I mean, even with my kids, when I really hammer home and get them to understand the why, everything else works out better.
They listen a lot better when they understand why, right? Not just because I said so, but because this could be the consequence, or like even just tone of voice with a kid, right? Like, this is why you say it in a different tone of voice, because this person could interpret it this way. And it just sounds like you're being mean, even though you're not intending it that way.
Right.
And making them conscious of those things. And even understanding the why, like a hole in my love cup, the why of your interactions. Yeah. Another good one is secure attachment theory.
Yes.
I think people can go too far into it and circulate everything in their life around it, which is not the right thing to do. But understanding that there are potential reasons why you keep having the same failed relationship because of a failed problem, even if it's not an intimate relationship, it's with friends, right? If you understand the why, you're much less likely to repeat the offensive behavior.
Right. Well, and then you can actually like observe, go, oh, okay. I realized why I'm doing these things. Now I'm seeing the pattern, or I'm seeing how that interaction reinforced that, or how I played into it, or how I didn't have a healthy boundary, whatever the thing is. But as soon as you can start to observe, then you can take action.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that might come easier to introverts also.
Oh, that's a good point.
They tend to be objectively observing others around them.
Right.
So it's easier to start to observe yourself.
Yeah.
As opposed to...
That's a really good point. Huh. I wonder. Well, because when I was young, I was certainly an introvert. And now I'd say I'm an extrovert. But
I'm still an introvert.
More to... Really?
Yeah.
Yeah?
If you put me in a room full of strangers, I will be the quiet one that sits on the wall watching everybody for a while.
Observing. Yeah. Yeah.
So, introverted extrovert.
Introverted extrovert. That's a good, Well, that's like I'm always trying to figure out, am I an optimistic realist or a realistic optimist?
Right.
One of the 2 of those. Interesting.
Yeah.
So then, excuse me, we're right there towards the end. We've got about 13 minutes, and I've got a cough that I need to do, but I don't want to do it on camera. How did you end up in Coeur d'Alene?
So after Eli had his accident And we had to recruit family members from out west.
Yeah.
And we had Tristan. I was like, if this happens again where we need people,
we got to be close.
We got to be closer,
mm-hmm.
right? And so that made the decision to come out here. And we'd been visiting Coeur d'Alene to visit Ari's parents for a while.
Cool.
So we were familiar with the area. Now, I could not get a job as a new grad NP up here. So we took student loan repayment position down in Mountain Home, Idaho.
Mountain Home. Where's Mountain Home?
An hour east of Boise.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Desert. Nothing there.
Yeah.
I take that back because now that I live up here, I'm with Brian now, and there's a ton of stuff to do down there.
Oh.
We just were not privy to it because the locals apparently don't share.
Oh, yeah. That's like up here. Nobody shares where their huckleberry picking spots are.
Right.
Yeah.
So we lived down there for a year before I was able to transfer to Heritage Health up here,
cool.
Which, Heritage Health garnered me good experience in internal medicine and geriatric care and street medicine. And, they had a hepatitis C program that was half-assed put together. And so I just made that way more robust and better. And so really good experience with that. But that's what brought us up here. And so Tristan's really close to his grandparents. They live out on the Coeur d'Alene River out in the Silver Valley. And my first baby daddy, his family I'm very close with, live in La Moya Canyon, which is outside of Elko, Nevada. And when we were down in Mountain Home, it's only a 4-hour drive, so we drove down there all the time.
Yeah.
We're all very close now. So Josh eventually got sober.
Oh, good for him.
Eli was like 13, so it was some years later.
Yeah.
Got in a relationship with Charlie. He's still with her. He owns his own house in Vacaville. Or Fairfield, something like that. He's been at the same position for Lord knows how many years. Like, he got his stuff together.
Incredible.
And we have spent Christmases together at his parents' house.
Cool.
In Nevada. Yeah, his dad and stepmom. Yeah. I mean, his mom
is still.
Yeah. And
shoot.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And Eli's a chemical engineer working in Minneapolis.
Okay.
And my daughter, so her adoptive mom ended up really insane. Wonderful. The open adoption was not open at about 4 years old.
Oh, no.
And so some years later, and Heather being the bitch she is, at 16, I was able to meet her. And we were close for a while. She lives down in Vegas. Remember, I lived in Reno at the time, so it wasn't that far. And they had a Tahoe second home. So I saw them often for a few years.
Yeah.
And Kelsey is her name. She has 4 children. So I'm a grandmother times 4. She does have a set of twins.
Wow. Look, it runs in the family.
It does. It skips a generation if you didn't know that.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she has a boy and a girl. And then another girl and an infant boy. The twins just turned 3 yesterday. So their birthday's close to mine.
Happy birthday to them and to you.
Yeah. Thank you. And she is a stay-at-home mom. Her husband got his teaching degree. I'm not really sure what he's doing. But we were close until her mom died. And then, that I think caused some confusion for her.
Yeah.
And I just don't have I used to go visit twice a year, and I'm like, I don't have time right now, but I promise I'll see you at the end of this year. Like, I haven't met the twins at all.
Oh.
Yeah, I haven't seen her in 3 years. I didn't know it had been that long till I learned they turned 3 today. I was like,
oh man, time flies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And then Tristan's
11 and a half and awesome.
I love that.
By far my easiest. And, his dad and I get along fairly well. His dad still drinks too much. And
is he out here or is he still back in Minnesota?
He's here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. We all moved out here together.
Yeah. Cool.
And Tristan's just a good, easy kid.
Yeah. Well, you deserve one of those.
Yeah.
Out of the bunch.
And he's into mountain biking right now. So we're doing mountain biking club. We're part of NICA. Lots of fun to be had with that. Brian is my boyfriend. We've been together for a year and a half. He just bought us a motorhome.
Oh, cool. Oh, so you guys get adventures
to go do the NICA stuff with. And
nice.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
He spoils us. So he's been a blessing. Like, he just makes my life really easy.
That's so good.
Not from the financial aspect, because we're not intertwined that way, but like, he plays with, like, him and Tristan are like best friends. He does all of the manly stuff in the house. Yeah. Right. So I don't have to, because I was.
Well, you were self-sufficient. You've done all the things.
I've done it all. I'm very capable. And he was like, how did you do all of this before me? And I was like, I just did it.
Yeah. Well, you have to.
All of it.
So you figured it out.
I washed my siding. I washed my windows. I did the lawns. I trimmed all the freaking landscaping and weeded and the house. And I just did it. Yeah. I had to. Like, right. There's no like, oh, I wish somebody would come do this.
Or you have a dirty, nasty house.
Right. And I'm very anal. Like, in nursing school, they taught me, in the first year of nursing school, they said, if you're anal about your house, let it go now.
Oh.
I did a tiny bit. Not a lot. Just a little bit. But I'm still pretty anal about my house.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's, yeah. For my sanity, I had to let it go a little bit.
You kind of do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're just like, whatever, there's toys on the floor. I'll vacuum this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it still gets done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you meet Brian?
Facebook singles thing.
Oh, that's match so or whatever. Good.
It was so funny. I was like, I had been on a lot of dates after Ari, and the dating scene is awful.
Yeah.
Especially for professional women, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm very particular, and I can see red flags, right? And I was like, that's a no.
That's a no.
And does Brian, I don't think Brian has any red flags. And yeah, he lived in Orofino at the time.
Oh,
so he's actually from Alabama.
Okay.
And then he lived in Meridian for 10 years.
Yeah.
During the time I lived down in Mountain Home.
Isn't that funny?
Right. I was like, if I would have just taken that, but he was married.
Okay.
And he lived in Orofino, so we dated while he lived in Orofino for a while. And then he was talking about selling his house and moving up here. He'd gotten a divorce.
Yeah.
And, he's looking at apartments and stuff. And by this point, we had already been like 4 months into it, but we had already been like, I'm kind of done dating. Like, if this doesn't work out, this is it.
I'm done. So, I'm calling it.
I don't know that I want to get married, but you'll be the last person I date if that says anything.
Yeah.
And so he moved in.
Oh, that's so good.
And it was an adjustment for him. So he doesn't have kids. He's never had kids.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, adding kids to the mix.
And I was very honest. I was like, my life is chaotic. Like, I am always into something on the go. Like, I am also very scatterbrained because I'm always doing like 5 things at the same time.
Yeah, keep all that straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had a glimpse of it living outside of the house, and like Tristan would come down there and visit and stuff. But it took him a good couple months to get used to it.
I'm sure.
And like, I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
It's so early. It is early.
Yeah. So
that's all. Well, and it sounds like you two complement each other. And
so we have very similar backgrounds and upbringings.
Yeah.
As far as the dysfunctionality, slightly different types, but very similar.
Right.
Yeah. So
you both know how to navigate chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like, that's what we've talked about. You've done a lot of work, a lot of growing, a lot of things to overcome where you started to who you are today.
Yep.
I take it he's probably done the same.
Men don't really.
We do a different version of it.
Yeah, you do a different version. So yes, he has, and no, he hasn't, right? Like, he's not sitting down and having the in-depth conversations with me. And I'm just like, whatever, this is where I'm at. These are my words. Like, this is what I think you need to go put in your brain and do it however you want. And then he just kind of comes back to me as a different person the next day.
Oh,
right?
That's funny.
And so it's cleared up communication lines. And
good.
Yeah. I'm like, you don't have to sit down and have the soul to soul with me, but like, think about it.
Yeah.
And he does. I know he does. Because because we're very happy. And he actually wants to spend time with us, right?
So
he travels for work.
Okay.
He's gone right now.
Oh, okay.
He's basically been gone for the last month, right? Like home on the weekends or home for a week and then gone for another week or two.
Yeah.
The last thing he wants to do is travel.
Oh, no.
But he bought us a motorhome so we could go travel together.
Oh, he's so sweet.
He really is.
I love that.
He really is. Yeah. So.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wish we had more time today. You and I both have hard stops. So we'll have to circle back because there's a lot. There's more. That was the good chronology and the bits and pieces, but we didn't get to deep dive into any like philosophical stuff on, more on medicine, more on, just life.
I could do medicine. I could go, deep dive into the hole in my love cup and the things I learned from that.
Yes.
And the attachment theories.
Yes.
Like where I was dysfunctional. There's so much. Yeah.
So we'll have to do a part 2.
Yeah.
But to end, it's my favorite question I ask everybody. I wish this thing was done. I'm right there at the tail end. Last question that I ask everybody is, if you had a megaphone that could reach everybody in the world, what's your message to them?
It really is just keep going.
Ooh.
You just have to keep going.
You have to.
You can't look back.
Yeah.
Because you can't change it.
No.
So just move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Just keep going.
Thank you,
Heather, thank you for joining me. This has been awesome.
This has been awesome. We'll do it again.
Yeah. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Main Character Podcast. If you dig the content, please click that follow button. And if you found today's guest inspiring, please share this episode with someone you think will benefit from it. If you'd like to be a guest on Main Character Podcast, reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, where I'd also appreciate a follow. All links can be found at my website, coachwithbrandon.com.